legends of the game. History we claim, from Dark's fadeaways to Luka's fame. Teams on the grind, making heads spin. Dallas crew strong, we gunning for the win. Defense locked tight, no open lanes. Swatting shots down, relentless campaigns. Fast break, hustle, never miss a stride. From practice to game, shit Texas pride. Mavericks, we rise, no fear in our eyes. Step onto the court, we cutting ties. Mavericks Digest, bring the heat on the beat. Dallas pride flows from head to feet.
How's it going, everybody? What's good, and welcome to a very different type of stream. Yeah, it all looks different. This is we're experimenting with something, but we are live. We are now live. This is our end of the season stream. I am accompanied by my moderator, Big J. He's very well known in the Mavericks space. He has met and talked to many members of the Mavericks organization. He's met a lot of people. He also has courtside seats to the Texas Legends game, so your boy be out there with him. But anyway, I got my man Big J with me. We're going to have you guys come on and voice your opinions and how you feel. We're going to have an open forum. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, as well as just kind of put the whole season into perspective. Go over the injuries, go over the trades, the acquisitions, how the team played, right? Got to talk about how we played, as well as talk about a few other topics. So thank you for coming out and hanging with me. You are welcome to come on stream. All you have to do is jump up in our Discord. The link is in the description below. And from there, there's a waiting room under the Mavericks page. Hey, look, I can probably just walk you through it right now. So let me see something. This is always a process for me. Sorry that I'm late. I obviously had to set up everything from scratch, and I may or may not have forgotten a few things. So it's all good, though. It's all good. Whoop. See, look. Hotkeys are still hotkeys. This is amazing. You know what? That's fine. Boom, boom. Let me see something. This is beautiful. I'm so good at this. So cool. So you're in the Discord. On the side here where it says Mavericks Digest, you just go in the waiting room. I got my man Jay with me. Like I said, he's going to bring you from the waiting room into the halftime show room, but that is where we will be having conversations. If you want to be on webcam, you can be on webcam. If you don't want to be on webcam, that's fine. You're going to see Big J's little icon here, and I'm over here with my green screen, which I never use. I may have to use it more of this upcoming season. Oh, snap. Big J, where'd you go? Lost you. Anyway. How you doing, man? How you doing? Chris Priest saying big love. Marcel was good, Chris. But really quick, Big J, we're going to start a little conversation. Let me add your audio first, because that's also something I forgot to do. So I want to make sure that people can hear you. Audio capture. What are we going to call this? What are we calling the stream? Like the end of season stream? End of season stream. All right, cool. And then here, it's going to come through my speakers. All right, let's see if I did this right. Jay, can you say something? Jay, can you hear me? I think you're muted.
Can you hear me?
There you are. All right. Now we can hear you. Welcome, Big J. Welcome to Mavericks Digest end of season stream, where we talk about where do we go from here. But we're going to kick it off with just a little convo between me and you, go down some topics, and then as well have some people come on. But if you had to grade this season, A, B, C, D, F, what would you grade this season?
This, I mean, like I said, this is a weird season, man, for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
This is probably a D. I mean, F based on what our anticipation was and expectations from last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, D from reality based, but it was just it's something we could not predict. I don't think anybody would have predicted it with the amount of injuries we had.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and I made a video today because after the game last night, Mark Stein went to Twitter and talked more in depth about like our health woes. And in that video, if you go in the comment section, and we may visit that later in this video, but there was a lot of people that were like trying to defend Nico and say, injuries happen, da da da. I was like, and in the video, I say, I know injuries happen. I know it's part of the game and everything, but like, not at the rate that we were having injuries. Like, that was absurd on how injured we were. And I'll give props to whoever deserves props for the fact, players, coach staff, whoever, that we won as many games as we did with the lack of people available, and we weren't at the bottom of the NBA. You know what I mean?
I saw the video, and the thing I was talking to somebody earlier about the same thing. Like my thing was in the offseason, I'm like, besides all the player moves, I'm like, you definitely have to address the medical staff and the training staff because we had a historically injured season,
Yeah.
and there's a reason. There's a reason for that, and it doesn't make sense for us to have all of the injuries we had. Some of the stuff, like I said, the Kyrie thing, yeah, he stepped in somebody's foot and and it landed weird, but the rushing people back, I didn't like at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I people think because I'm on the tank, but my thing is I'm also looking long term because I knew AD wasn't 100%. I knew, like I said, what's his name wasn't 100%. Lively and Gafford, and then even with Exum broke his wrist like 3 weeks before the playoffs started, and he's playing.
Yep.
And we're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. And we talked in the video today about, and me and you have had many conversations, and we talked about this before, people referring to Nico as like, this is now North Korea. And I laughed at that at first, but then when more details come out, I kind of see what people are saying. And I even called Nico Harrison a tyrant, right? Because first of all, you got rid of everybody close to Luka, and you started to assemble this team what people thought would be what best complements Luka, but instead you wanted to build a team in your own vision. So you didn't care about what was built before you. You wanted your own vision moving forward, how you want the team to look, not just from players, but down to the personnel of our medical staff, getting rid of Casey Smith, getting rid of people that were around Luka that helped Luka feel welcome. And I've said it before, it's got to be some deep-seated personal vendetta against Luka or whatever bias he may have, because I don't know, unless there's something that's not being reported or something we'll never know, I don't know what Luka did to make anybody, let alone his own GM, dislike him this much. It's very weird. And so to hear that Nico handpicked our current medical staff, and even they had internal conflicts and issues on how we were handling health. It's like, Nico, what are you doing? Are you actually putting the team and the organization first, or are you putting yourself first in your ego? And I really do think that he has a huge ego problem.
Yeah, so I think the problem with Nico and Kid is I think that just like Mark Cuban, the guy that hired them, is that they think they're the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And they think that they don't have to explain themselves, and they think, that, hey, And so I think that once the moves that Nico made internally were for his own benefit and to prove his brilliance by, like I said, Casey Smith was the Olympic trainer at one point. He was the U.S. Olympic basketball team trainer. Why would you let him go? If USA Olympics trusts him to be the trainer for them, why are we letting him go?
Yeah. I don't.
And so stuff like that makes no sense,
It doesn't make sense. And I think I can speak for myself. Since the trade, I think I've gone through a lot of different emotions, but I think now I'm in a much more logical, point. People try to say, "Oh, stop being so emotional. Luka's already gone, move over or move on." It's like, it's not that I haven't moved on. It's I'm trying to make sense of this, right? Like, and I think it's easier to move on and accept how things are when you can make sense of it. But right now, I'm kind of like, this don't really add up. Like, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, you can't thoroughly explain this. I mean, you spoke about how if the only thing Nico can say every time you ask about these moves is defense wins championships, then I don't believe you really know what you're doing or believe in what you're doing, or you don't want us to know the real reason why you're doing it. You're not going to flat out say, "Oh, I have a huge ego and I'm making all these moves and trades because I want to, and I want to have control." You're saying, "Oh, defense wins championships." Then why does our defense suck?
The funny thing, Bobby, so I'll tell you, I watched Bobby Marks' video when he was talking about the season end for the Mavericks. And he's talked about, he said it's like people ask me what would my wife say if I'd have made a trade? She wouldn't let me make the trade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like something's wrong, and like we said, the fact that Nico can't explain the logic behind the trade is a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you had a plan, a logical plan, and you were doing something that was best for the team for basketball reasons, you could say that.
Yeah.
And and like I said, some stuff I will believe. Like I was telling somebody the other day, like, you asked the question before, and I answered the question again to somebody else. But as far as how would you assign blame, and the more I've heard, the more blame I do assign directly to Nico. I'm saying he's probably around, probably like I said, probably 60% to blame for the trade. I think the Dumonts Adelsons have some blame because they allowed him to do it.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, like I said, Luka bears some blame too because there's a negative perception around him that if he did his part, that wouldn't be the case. And I know people can be like, oh, but he put 30 up. But I'm like I said, the thing that bothered me the most was the fact that when Tim McMahon, who, he's both a shield for the Mavericks, according to some people, and he also is a sleeper agent that hates the Mavs. But
yeah, it's funny.
When he came out with that story that when Luka came in, I like I said, that's one of those things that I don't understand. Hard to explain, it's hard to forgive. When we made it to the finals, you didn't have to play in the Olympics, so you weren't playing all summer like everybody else and getting beat up. You should have been resting and working out and getting yourself in shape. When Luka came back, he got hurt the very first practice with that leg injury. And then, as Tim McMahon said, he gained pounds. And I'm like, and people are trying to cover, like, when I was talking to people, they were like, oh, well, I'm like, no, dude. I'm like, you're a professional athlete. And I'm like, even as a non-professional athlete, you can't gain 10 pounds in a 4-week period unless you're just going crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A regular person's not going to gain that kind of weight that fast unless you're just eating everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I've never publicly, personally, and privately, like, I've never once, said anything negative about Luka's weight or shape. I've said he's not at his best, but
yeah.
I've never thought Luka was like a Zion or, any other overweight or fat player, right? Like, obviously he's bigger than what we've seen him be, but a lot of players put on muscle. They do gain weight. Their body changes from your rookie year to like your third, fourth, fifth year. However, I can believe that what we've been told, there is some truth to it. You got to kind of pick it apart. Like, what makes more sense? Like, is it true that Luka had to play himself back into shape most seasons? Yes, we know that to be true. Like that is a fact. Was Luka at like 285, 265, or however big he was being reported? Maybe. Not too sure, because I doubt that he's at that weight now. And I personally, me speaking for myself, I don't really see too much of a difference between Luka when we had him versus where he is now. Maybe he slimmed down a little bit, but it's a lot of weird issues. If you as an organization cannot get your best player in the shape that you need him to be, or if you cannot get a grip on that, you need to do better than just trading him. Trading him just sounds like you don't know what you're doing. Like, he wouldn't listen to us, so we just traded him. That's crazy. I know Zion's about to get traded now, but Zion should have been traded. Joel Embiid should have been traded. There's a lot of players who should have been traded for not being a good fit for their organization, but they just sit on that team. And those players are none of them are better than Luka Doncic. So, and in the regards to the trades that were made this season, we traded away Luka, we traded away Quentin Grimes, and of course Maxey Kleber and Markieff Morris as well. Markieff Morris is just a locker room guy. Maxey, I think, is past his prime, and Lakers fans, shout out to you guys for being super optimistic and very accepting and loving of Maxey. You're going to learn shortly exactly how that goes. And then Quentin Grimes. So let's talk about Quentin Grimes and how I like Caleb Martin as a nice little defender, but I think we gave up way too much. And yes, is he a better defender than Quentin Grimes? Absolutely. But Quentin Grimes will shoot the ball. We can run an offense for Quentin Grimes. We can run a little play for Quentin Grimes. But
we saw what Quentin Grimes is yesterday when Quentin Grimes would dribble in, dribble out. Like, I'm like, dude, he did that twice in one play where he dribbled into the paint and then brought it back out to three, then dribbled in again and brought it. And I'm like, what are you doing?
That's not a play, bro. It's like like, what are you doing? Like, and I understand also, though, I understand context. Quentin Grimes and what he's doing in Philly is because he has the opportunity that he never would have had it here in, well, I'm not going to say never. He possibly could have had the same opportunity here in Dallas because of all of our injuries. If he was one of the only healthy guys, of course, he would have had games like that. But if we're talking about a fully healthy Mavericks team, Quentin Grimes was in a spot where he would not have had many opportunities to move up. He was going to be a bench player. He was going to come off the bench, provide good scoring, provide good play, decent defense, and that's kind of just how things would go for Quentin Grimes here. I don't think he would have cracked the starting 5 if we were fully healthy. You know what I mean? So
no, not at all.
But getting back Caleb Martin, it's like I would have definitely given you Jaden Hardy or Omax in some second rounds for Caleb. I'm not getting Quentin Grimes for Caleb Martin. I understand it was also a money move because Quentin Grimes will be a restricted free agent, meaning you will have to match offer sheets, and maybe it is. That's probably the only trade I understand was a money move, was Quentin Grimes. And maybe Nico did want Caleb Martin as well, but I know there was conflicting reports between Quentin Grimes requesting a trade versus not requesting a trade. His agent did, his agent didn't. Regardless how it went down on who requested what, the fact of the matter still remains that we traded down. That was a downgrade. Trading away Luka for Max Christie and Anthony Davis, you can say the same thing, but a 1-for-1 trade, Quentin Grimes, I'd much rather have Quentin Grimes. And again, I like Caleb Martin's entire defensive, skill set. I really do. It's just I would pick you up in the offseason. I'd try to trade Jaden Hardy or someone else for you, but it's not an equivalent. It's not an equivalent. But those were the moves that we made this season, and how much do you think that's going to still be impacting us next year? Obviously not having Luka is going to impact us for the next 30 years. I get that. But as far as getting rid of Kleba, Markieff Morris, Quentin Grimes, now we have AD, Max Christie, as well as Caleb Martin. For next season, how does that impact us?
I think you and I both think that, Martin's good, but I don't need one-way players anymore on this team. We don't need players that can only do one thing. And if Martin can't shoot and if Martin can't score, and scoring is not the end-all, be-all, but you have to be able to put the ball in the basket and you can't be scared because we saw enough of that with Maxey.
Yeah.
And, he needs to be able to show us more. And then the problem I also have with Martin is that with the trade, just like the Luka trade, is that we traded them their 2025 second-round pick, which that's a valuable pick this year. That's almost a first-round pick.
Yep.
And then when we found out he was hurt, instead of getting that pick back, we got a 2030 second-round pick back. So I'm once again, you lost a valuable asset that could help the team now. Yep. Even if we could use that to package the trade up and get another first-round pick in the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I don't understand what he was thinking.
And who knows? And maybe we'll never know. And I'm sure in the next 10 years, when people are gone and people have been fired, people have left, we're going to hear stories from people that were, close. And I've been very critical of Michael Finley just because, you are the assistant GM. You hear things. You are there. At least you should be as an assistant. And it's I don't want to just put out things that aren't true. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, Michael Finley, you were also involved. You want him gone too. I'm not going to say that because I don't know. But what I will say is Michael Finley as an assistant GM is you're kind of just there, bro. You're in the crossfires. You're quiet too, but because you are the assistant GM to Nico Harrison, it's y'all two are on the same, page. It would be very weird because I don't think they said anything about Michael Finley during the trade deadline, but we know that Nico didn't tell anybody about the Luka trade. I wonder if Michael Finley knew. That's what I always wondered. Did you ever talk to your assistant about this? Because I do think it's very, and this goes beyond the Luka trade. So shout out to the 52 people watching. This is what I'm about to say goes beyond the Luka trade. This should be something for any big trade. Now, if you're trading Markieff Morris for, I don't know, another deep bench player, who cares who's involved? But if you are trading a key player, a starter, your number one guy, I think there needs to be something in play where you as a GM cannot just go out and do it with very little approval. You need to go through your proper channels with your assistants, all owners. And I understand Mark Cuban is a minority owner. However, Mark Cuban is still a very important person when it comes to the Mavericks, organization. It's not like the buying group that bought the Timberwolves, right? Where it's multiple people. It's who's in charge? All of them. This should have been something that everybody top down talked about. And I think it's very irresponsible. And imagine for any GM, of any other team. That's like if the Nuggets traded away Jokic for Jimmy Butler, and it's because, oh yeah, Jokic is fat, he's out of shape, those numbers don't help us win. We haven't won since a few years ago. Like get Jimmy, he's a win now player, and they don't tell anybody. Like that's the equivalent. Like you should not make big changes without going through proper channels. That's irresponsible, and honestly, it should be a fireable offense. And I understand you getting fired by the person that gave you the okay is also odd. But still, like, why can't a GM make this big of a move and talk to barely anybody about it?
So, like you, I've been since the trade, I've been trying to figure out how and why and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I started trying to walk through logically what could have happened in that situation, and that may be me with the tinfoil hat.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the last 2 years, right? My thought process is because they've said that they trusted Nico because of the basketball moves, but I think that Nico kind of went behind Mark's back after the Jalen Brunson deal and was like, look at what happened because we lost Jalen Brunson to New York for nothing. And I really do attribute that more to Mark than to Nico.
Yeah.
Because I think Mark was, once again, trying to be the smartest guy. And, hey, I'm going to put this deal on the table for the $15 million a year and then pull it after we couldn't trade you. And then, just playing with him. Because Jalen would have signed the 15-year, $50 million a year deal. He said it multiple times. He was ready to sign, and then they pulled the deal, and then he's like, "Well, forget it." Then when they try to come back to him, he's like, "Forget it." But my thing is, I think he used that fumble to go and be like, "Hey, you know what? We see that he needs to be out of this basketball decision because look what happened. He just cost us an All-Star, and look at now, he's a perennial MVP candidate now in New York instead of here, who's homegrown." And I think he used that to help push Mark out. And then once Mark was out of the loop, and we saw Dirk's now out of the loop, as we found out, that now he has 100% control. And as they said, they don't know basketball.
No.
They're just there with money,
Yes.
And so he's like, oh, we need to get rid of this guy. Look, and I'm sure he told him whatever bad things he told about Luka. And they were like, oh, man. And like, look, we can go get a 10-time All-Star over here, Defensive Player of the Year. And they're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? I think that's and so to me, if I and the owner found out that I was lied to and manipulated for your own personal reasons and you hurt the team, and like I said, they should be the ones realizing this from the outside, from looking at the fan reaction. And I think that was part of the reason we found out that Patrick Durant forced him to have that conference. He's been ducking the media. He's been ducking the media, and so I think Patrick's like, no, you're going to go talk and you're going to go explain yourself, and he still hasn't explained himself. And like I said, to me, that's when you need to go ahead and fire him, because if you're lying to your boss and manipulating your boss, then you need to get fired.
Yeah.
And you're hurting the organization, you got to get fired.
Yeah, and when you look at some of his responses, from that little secret pressure that he had, it was very much he was defending himself and not taking any type of accountability or ownership of what happened, downplaying the fans. And I've seen a lot of people go back and forth on what he said of he doesn't believe he has an obligation to the fans. I argue that you do, because the fans make the organization. Like, you are not going to play basketball in a completely empty arena where you did not sell a single ticket. You will not have a sports team for long if that if that were to ever happen. So fans are important, and it's, if you think of it from a business standpoint, if I can give the fans a product that they're all in for, that they're willing to spend a large amount of money on tickets and merch and everything, if I give them exactly what's good for them that they want, I can make more money. Like, that just makes sense to me. Like, this is an ego thing. This does not sound like a man who was calculated as far as how to make the team better, the franchise better, make us more money, make us a more popular franchise, a better destination for free agents to want to come to. This, like, the way his responses were set up just sounded like, no, I know what I'm doing. Even yesterday, and I'm gonna switch it really quick to what we found out yesterday from Mark Stein. So give me a second. I'm about to pull the tweets up if I can find them. Boo-boo. Yeah, here we go. So give me a second. We're going to talk about this. How do I... Oh, there's that. How do I say goodbye to what we had? Okay. Cool.
They would have played that on April 9th.
Man, look. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so we're on Twitter. We're gonna go on to Mark Stein, but I'm gonna put myself back in view. Hold on. Yeah, there I am. All right, so we're gonna go through the entire like thread. For those that didn't watch my video, here's pretty much what it is. So, Derrick Lively II, I'm told, remained on a minutes restriction for both of the Mavericks playing games this week. Among the topics covered in Nico Harrison's roundtable with selected Dallas media members was an ESPN McMahon question about the handling of Lively's injury. Going into this, hold on, let me move the chat box. Hold on, in case someone's watching. Boop-a-doop. Let me just move this over here. It says, Tim McMahon asked Nico, how does Derrick Lively to go through a full return-to-play workout in Charlotte, and he's going to play 2 days later? The day in between, he gets a CT scan that shows that he had a stress fracture in his right ankle. How does that happen? So this right here, I was kind of confused what he meant. So pretty much, he had that injury in that one game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when before they announced that it was a stress fracture, he had gone through a full return-to-play workout in Charlotte. And he was going to play 2 days later, but in between the game to return and I guess the practice that next day, apparently, that's when the CT scan showed he had a stress fracture. So you didn't get a CT scan the moment he was injured. You allowed him to go through a full return to play practice and then get a scan. That, like, what sense does that make? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you make sure you're going through all the proper channels? And this is what I'm talking about when I say he handpicked this team of medical personnel, and I would also argue that a lot of the decisions of players returning may not be so much on the medical staff as it is on Nico Harrison. He's saying, hey, get him back as soon as possible. Hey, he's good, bring him. Derrick Lively went down with an injury that game. He did not come back to play that game, and then he goes through a full workout. The next day, they find out he has a stress fracture. What if that workout made it worse? Like, that's a bit irresponsible. But Nico Harrison responded to McMahon, saying it actually goes to show the strength of our medical team because he was showing signs and symptoms where our medical team knew it was something more. And so that's why they went and tested him again and saw the CT scan, which they actually avoided a potential catastrophic injury. Now, hyperbole to just be dramatic? Or are you telling me that Derrick Lively was at high risk of a very bad injury? Like, when I hear catastrophic injury, I'm thinking career altering or maybe even career ending. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. What's going on? Like, and why does it feel like a lot of our players have had this level of injuries all season long? So, and again, using this as an example of Nico Harrison not taking accountability and how he will constantly defend himself. And it's not like I want him to just fall on the sword, but I'd feel it better if a GM can make the right moves, but also admit that maybe that wasn't the best move. Maybe I need to, revisit the drawing board of what I do and try to be better for my organization. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of humility never hurt anybody, but I don't think he has an ounce of that. But he continues by saying, so, you will take the angle. Oh, yeah. So he says this towards McMahon, saying, you will take the angle of being negative, but it's actually a positive thing because they saw with the symptoms, even though he was cleared to play, they didn't feel right putting him in. How did you turn this around?
Who cleared him to play, though? That's the problem, because usually what's the first thing they do when someone gets hurt? They'll give him a preliminary, look over in the locker room, and then they'll say, well, we'll get a scan tomorrow. That's what we hear everywhere, when somebody gets hurt. Yeah. So how is he cleared to play without getting a CT scan or getting an MRI on his leg? That makes no sense.
That's very irresponsible. And now, and I'm not saying that this did happen, but it makes me think. Last season during the playoffs against the Timberwolves, remember Derrick Lively got hit in the back of the head?
Yeah.
He missed the next game, but he came back the following game. I hope they did the proper procedures to make sure he didn't have a concussion. Nothing was messed up, that that he didn't break anything or no significant nerve damage, because that was a pretty scary injury when he went down. So after this season and all of the this season and all the injuries and everything that I've seen so far, I'm really concerned for the players' health, like on a personal level. Are you being taken care of? Are they just prioritizing themselves and how they look to people and how they look to the media as far as the decisions they make? Do they care more about their public perception versus the health of these players? Very irresponsible, very dangerous.
No, I think that's what happened with. I think that's what happened both times with AD. I think he was hurt, and I think he was more seriously hurt And once again, I think during the trade process, because once again, why did we not know that Caleb Martin was hurt when we did the trade?
He was out for like
Why
what,
did we not
4 weeks? Like he missed a lot of time
know,
when we got him.
why do we not know that AD had an abductor strain when he was traded? They said it was abdominal strain. Like it
Yeah.
was an abdominal, but it was an adductor strain, which is lower in the groin, which is like a sports hernia. Why didn't we know that? And why didn't we evaluate him to see, oh, this is what's wrong before we? And then why did we rush him back? Because once again, Nico had to prove that this wasn't a bad trade. I know what I'm doing. Please come save me. And for 2.5 quarters, it looked like it did,
Yeah.
until he got hurt again. And then we rushed him back again because I kept saying we need to shut him down and make sure he's fully healthy. I said there's no benefit to getting knocked out in the play-in or getting knocked out in the first round or not, or him coming back because it's always going to be, oh man, look, the Lakers made it this far and you guys made it to the play. It's always going to look bad, but at least you could say, oh, they were injured and then you were trying to get them healthy. But he's looking at it from the wrong short-term, immediate, instant gratification sort of situation where I need to hurry and prove everybody wrong instead of let me get back next year and build this team right and prove everybody wrong. I don't know. I don't get him right now.
It truly is a matter of ego. I really do think that's the biggest monster. And really quick, when we get through these tweets from Mark Stein, we're going to open up the calls. I think someone's in the waiting room now, so we're going to open it up after we're done with these tweets. And what we're going to do is when you guys come on, just ask that you keep it somewhat PG-13, but I'm going to ask you a few questions. You can give me your thoughts on the season, what trades or acquisitions or moves in general you think the Mavs need to do. How are you feeling? It's going to be an open forum. We're just going to get through a few more stuff. I kind of wanted to do a little intro before we open the floor. So, continuing with Mark Stein's tweets, he also tweeted out saying, sources tell the Stein line that Lively's foot injury was at the center of some significant tensions among new members of Dallas medical staff and performance team at the team's practice facility in February. So, with the moment Lively got hurt, everyone's freaking out, like, why did this happen? How bad is it? Why are you not doing what you're supposed to do? But Nico followed up. Nico Harrison asserted in Wednesday's press event that unavoidable contact injuries are largely at fault for the Mavericks' injury woes this season. Yet there has been increasing scrutiny on medical matters, and the team he assembled because of Dallas' season-long health woes, saying, Nico said this, 90% of our injuries before the trade were contact injuries. That means they're unavoidable. Since the trade is down to like 75%. And so when you talk about contact injuries, those are unavoidable injuries. Now, in terms of our medical staff, they're elite. And of course, they're not happy with the amount of injuries, but a lot of those are unavoidable. So he gave himself a pat on the back. Yeah, our medical staff, they're elite. Bro, then why are we getting injured? And saying, oh yeah, 90% of our injuries were contact injuries. Guys are getting banged up. Yes, but like the biggest one I can point to is like Kyrie tearing his ACL. But yeah, that was a contact injury. That was catastrophic. Like that was huge. But like a lot of these other injuries, it's like, what is our staff doing? And it's not necessarily the staff preventing players from getting hurt, but making sure that they don't get hurt again. How many times has PJ missed time because of his ankles?
Yeah.
Ankles
Hardy.
are weak.
I mean, Hardy's ankles.
Him too.
But not the only two I say were contact. So Gafford, because remember Gafford went knee to knee with somebody and hyperextended his knee, and that's how he tore his MCL.
Yeah.
But like I said, the Hardy injury history, I don't. Like I said, it's like, are these players injury prone, or you just have a bad training staff?
Yeah, and I think it was the Pelicans last year and this year. They've had bad luck with injuries as well. I think this year was also very bad for them. I know DeJounte Murray didn't play much at all. I think he got injured on the opening night. I know Brandon Ingram had injuries before he got traded. So yes, I know the Pelicans, they've had a pattern for the last 2, maybe even 3 seasons of just a lot of injuries. The Mavericks are worse than them. That's what's crazy about it. If you look at the Pelicans and their injuries, you could point to and say, man, that's bad luck. But the Mavericks have it worse. We are more impacted by injuries than any team in the NBA. Number 1 team, most impacted by injuries, that is us. So that is not just freak accidents. That's just not, man, it's bad luck or, it's a lot of injuries. No, there is a incompetence in our medical staff, in our training staff, and that's causing these injuries, especially the repeated injuries. You breaking your hand, how'd you break it? What did you do? Because I feel like that's how that happens. You did something to break your hand. But the ankle sprains, which happened to a lot of players. Why are we I think out of all injuries, that's the one that occurred the most, and that's something that we need to look at from everybody. Why was everyone's ankles so weak this year? Everyone's getting ankle sprains, especially PJ, also Jaden Hardy, a lot of guys, ankle sprains. But yeah, it's ridiculous. But Mark Stein continues in his lengthy tweets, saying, as Steinlein wrote in November, Johan Billsborough became Dallas' Director of Player Health and Performance this season. He replaced highly regarded Casey Smith, who worked closely with Dirk and Jason Kidd as players, as well as Luka Doncic. Getting rid of Casey Smith, I think, is like a fireable offense. Especially, hindsight's 20/20, and I get that. But now it's like, so you're telling me that if we had Casey Smith, maybe half of these injuries don't happen? Why are you still the GM of my team?
And where's Casey now? New York.
And where are they and where are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, Vincent, shout out to Vincent in the chat. He said Luka's calf. That was a reoccurring injury for him specifically.
And the knees.
And his knees,
yeah. Remember Luka's knees?
That knee would not stop bleeding.
And the calf thing was happening for about 2 years. That was happening the last 2 years. And even though Casey Smith was technically still employed, remember, last year, before the season started, they made the decision not to let him travel with the team, so he was effectively not running our medical staff.
Yeah.
Because he stayed here, and he would only supervise them on home games, but he did. I mean, so how are you in charge of the medical staff when you're not traveling with the team if something happens on the road?
It just sounds so irresponsible. And again, we could look at it from a basketball standpoint, like a business standpoint, like you Nico could possibly have cost this team millions of dollars. And remember, after the trade, a lot of our games were knocked down from national televised to just local.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of our games were changed. So it's like you cost the team money, but also from a personal standpoint, these are human beings. You need to make sure they have the best medical staff so they and their family can be good for a lot longer. So Gafford can continue to provide for his family. So PJ can continue to provide for his family so he can have a lengthy career. As a GM, it's your job to help preserve them. Think of it from just humans. They're people. Don't look at them as just a part of a product. Look at them as people. They need to be protected. Mark Stein continues, though, saying, as also covered by the Steinlein in this April 7th piece, before Doncic played his first game in Dallas as a Laker, Casey Smith's ouster before the 2023-2024 season has contributed to the distance between Dirk and the franchise over the past 2 seasons. That's something that we're going to talk about real quick, because we know that Tim McMahon has something that's coming out Monday about Dirk, and it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good, and I don't know what it could be. Worst case scenario, he says, I want my statue taken down. I want my jersey out the rafters. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's probably the worst thing. He just denounces his Mavericks fandom, and he says, screw Dallas, I'm going to LA. That would probably be worst case scenario. But that's also very dramatic. Yeah. I don't think that happens. So, what are we going to find out? He just doesn't rock with us? Or, what could that be?
I'm sure Dirk doesn't like... And I'm just speculating. So I'm sure Dirk doesn't like Nico and the moves that Nico's made. And like I said, because like you said, Casey was the Nico guy, and a lot of the other guys were Nico guys. Were Dirk guys. So Casey was a Dirk guy. A lot of these other guys that got moved that were Dirk guys that became Luka guys are also gone, and those were his friends. They were saying like one of the guys was the team fired him and he became Dirk's publicist. Because Dirk went ahead to hire them directly to work with him. They used to do public relations for the Mavericks. So I think there's a lot there because if you're moving out all the people who Dirk liked as well, then it's not his team. He doesn't feel comfortable just coming here and seeing everybody he knows and being around the guys because these aren't his people.
Yeah, and I said it in my video.
And remember, really Dirk used to have that thing.
So what?
No, I don't know if you remember a year or two ago when Dirk was at the preseason, he had his little notebook and the team should be doing and all that.
Yeah. And an actual advisor, yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't seen any of that in the last year or so. Because This is about 2 years ago. I remember he was walking around at Summer League and he was taking notes and, giving tips and all that, and they would listen to him. But like I said, that seems all be gone.
It is crazy how... And me and you, we've had these conversations, so this isn't nothing new to you. But for those that are watching, I've always looked at the Mavericks as one of the last remaining teams that was still kind of how a lot of teams felt in the early 2000s. Yes, we know the NBA is a business. We know basketball is a business, but there's always a little bit of heart in these organizations. Every team had that heartbeat. Dirk was our heartbeat. There for 20 years, brought a championship. We had memorable moments, and luckily for us, we had, after Dirk, we had Luka right there. So it's like, okay, cool, we can continue this of having memorable moments, having an organization of a rich history, and just great moments that outweigh the bad moments. But the moment we sold the team, and I'm not blaming Mark Cuban, but the moment we sold the team, Nico got put in a higher position of power, and he made the trade. You stole the heartbeat. We're now a part of the machine that is the NBA. That we do what's best for the NBA. And regardless of what you think, conspiracy theories or whatever, the Lakers got the better deal out of this, not just from a player standpoint, but from money, TV, more eyes on them. The Lakers being royalty of the NBA just got a lot more royalty because of this trade, where over the last several years, there was a lot more parity in the NBA, like other teams were winning. It wasn't these bigger markets that were always winning. So now we're going back to the machine. The Dallas Mavericks are now a part of the machine. We don't have, and there's no disrespect to anybody on the team. Y'all know me. I'm a Kyrie fan. He's my favorite player. But, even with Kyrie here, we don't really have a face of this team, if you want to say that. We don't have, a cornerstone player. We don't have someone that we're built around. And I'm not saying you have to build around one guy. But, if you look at Cleveland, they got Donovan Mitchell and just a great team around him. We have a bunch of good role players, but we don't really have anybody at the center of that. You could say it's 80. Go ahead. Cool. That's not Luka Doncic. That's not someone that, people were naming their kids Luka. People, were more invested in the country of Slovenia and learning more about that country because Luka. That's a franchise-changing player. We don't have a franchise-changing or franchise-altering player anymore. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Finishing up with the Steinline tweets. I'm trying not to get too distracted. The last one here is when ESPN McMahon asked about Smith's departure, Harrison branded the topic kind of a joke and insisted the medical team he has put in place is better. The Knicks hired Smith this season as a new vice president of sports medicine and reuniting him with Jalen Brunson. To McMahon, ESPN saying, and obviously injuries derailed that. So that leads me to, why did you make the decision to fire Casey Smith in the summer of 2023? Why did you make the decision to fire Jeremy Hallsoppel last year? And how did you evaluate the job of your new hires for these roles during the season, which obviously, I'm all over the place. Injuries have completely wreaked havoc on this roster. This is Nico's response. Yeah, you're bringing up Casey is it's kind of a joke. Last year, Casey wasn't around and we made it to the finals. No one brought up Casey last year, so to bring him up this year doesn't really make sense. He's been away for 2 years, so I'm not even going to comment on that. The most tone-deaf and stupid response Nico Harrison could have said. The dumbest. Really quick, though, we do have a super chat. Hold on. Super chat coming in from Unknown Deity saying 10 months, baby! Sending emails soon about plush. Don't forget. And for those that have won jerseys, still working on it. I have a few people that won giveaways for jerseys, and the website that I always use, NBA.com, never had issues. For whatever reason, the past 2 giveaways, I'll place the order, and something will go wrong. The order will get canceled. I'm not getting refunded, and I'm not getting email notifications from NBA.com. I don't know what's going on, so I'm trying to figure that out. It's going to make me crash out one of these days. But anyway, yes, Nico's response, again, the ego. Saying, I don't know why we're talking about Casey. It's kind of a joke. Saying it's a joke is wild. But also the fact that, we made the finals last year. No one asked about him. People were still talking about Casey Smith because Luka was going to games wrapped up like a mummy.
Yeah.
We were bringing up Casey Smith last year too, and then this year. And there's just no awareness when it comes to Nico. There's no self-awareness when it comes to Nico at all.
Yeah, that's he just seems tone deaf to what's going on with the fans. And like I said, that's the attitude of not caring what the fans think and not, I don't have to worry about the fans or report to the fans. That's like I said, that'd be like the head of Walmart, what I'm saying, one of the Walton family saying, you know what, I don't care if the people come shop or not, Yeah. It makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense at all. So that was Mark Stein's lengthy tweet last night after we lost, just kind of putting things into perspective as far as the health of this team, because this year has been absolutely madness. But we are now going to open up the stream to a few chatters. If you want to come through and talk, we'll have a conversation. Excuse me. And then we're going to continue with our topics. We're going to be going through a lot of different things. So whenever someone comes in, Jay, just throw them in here, and then we'll just have a conversation. But as far as this draft, we are now in the lottery, which is a good thing. Oh, hey, hold on. We got somebody.
Yep, I see him.
All right. Bring them in the chat, and then I will have to do something. I'm the biggest bird.
I know, but I don't see a halftime show now. There's an option.
Here, let me see if I can add him. Hold on. Why can't I add him? Wait a minute. This is my Discord. Why? Oh, here we go. I got him.
Ah.
All right. Hello. Welcome to not the halftime show, but welcome to the random stream that I decided to
do. Yeah.
What's up, Biggest Bird? How you doing?
Good. How are you, Marcel?
Well, it's the end of the season, end of a nightmare / headache. I think that's the best way to put it. End of a headache.
Yeah.
Definitely going to be happy that I can get some sleep now. I don't have to stay up late for games. I don't have to stay up late for post game vids. I can get the proper sleep for my day job. But no, but I'm good. And I don't know. People may not like what I'm about to say, but this is just me personally. Losing last night, I was like, finally, it's over. Seeing us, if we were to win and make it to the playoffs, is cool. I can watch us keep playing. But a part of me was also you know what? I just really want people to just take or have time away. I think time away is important, especially after the season that we have. I think having time away from the organization will help people come back next season a little bit more optimistic. Maybe not optimistic, but just feels better because I'm emotionally drained. It's been a wild and weird season. Yes, the trade was crazy and what happened after, but for me, my number one issue has been the injuries. I hated the amount of injuries that we've had all season long.
Yeah, there's so many injuries. It was crazy. Almost over, guys. We were going to start forfeiting games because we had so many injuries.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's rough because we never got to see this team 100% healthy. The team that we had, that roster to start the season, I wanted to see that fully healthy. I want to see that roster really click together, lock in, really be able to show us what they can do at 100%, and we never got to see that. And even with the roster now, still have not been able to see it 100%, aside from that Rockets game for 2 quarters. But
after the Luka trade, everybody just got hurt right after the Luka trade. Yep. Kyrie was playing 40 minutes a game, and that wasn't safe for him.
Yeah, and his injury, though, I attribute more to just the weird contact and the weird fall that he had. But who's to say that it wouldn't have led to another injury if, you know what I'm saying? It could have happened. I get that. I totally get that. It's annoying. But again, that's why I made that video this morning going over, the injuries and the health, because for me, that's been my biggest gripe and complaint. That's been my biggest headache is why do we stay injured? Why is everybody getting injured all season long? And at the biggest rate ever, we are the number one most impacted team when it comes to injuries, and it's why? That does not make any sense. But
yeah.
If we're gonna try to be more positive about things, what are some things that you liked from the season?
Man, there's some things that I liked. I liked the Sacramento Kings game. We played really good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were going to go to the playoffs and beat the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, no, that Kings game was good. That was the first game where I felt good in a long time. I was actually happy. I was actually pretty happy watching that game. But for me though, I really looked forward to seeing our role players play. I liked watching Quentin Grimes. I love watching Najee Marshall. I loved watching Daniel Gafford. Like the guys that come off the bench.
Yeah.
I think I was more happy for. Obviously starters are gonna be starters. Cool, do your thing. But I like seeing the guys on the bench really stand up and have great games, great performances. Those are always huge. I know Najee Marshall had a lot of good games this season, and honestly, I'm glad that he's here because he's gonna be pretty necessary next year. Pretty necessary.
Yeah, Najee Marshall made a big improvement this year.
So what?
To me. I said Najee Marshall made a big improvement.
Yes, yeah, he definitely took a big jump from last year to this year, and man, even from the start of the season to this year, he made that jump, and he is super duper essential for this team. Going forward with the Mavs though, as far as postseason moves, we have the draft coming up in this free agency, so getting a rookie,
Yeah.
making trades, moving players around. I have two questions for you. My first question is, what do you think is going to happen, and what do you want to have happen?
Okay, so I either want to get Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey for the trade,
Mm-hmm.
and I want us to try to trade for uh Giannis. Like throw in like Gafford, Lively, and a bunch of our bigs, except for Kyrie and AD. We need to build around them. So like we need to build around Kyrie and AD. We could throw in Lively, Hardy, and a bunch of those people for Giannis and KD. Um, we, I feel like if this team would be good, and Nico would make a lot of the Madisons be okay with him if we got KD, AD, Kyrie, Giannis, and Cooper. But then we don't want to stack up on too many stars, because then a lot of them are going to get hurt, and then we'll be like, okay, what's next? Like we don't have that many players because we traded for all these good players.
Yeah, um, that would be a dream come true if we could get Kevin Durant and Giannis and somehow have enough players for a full roster. Yeah, totally awesome.
Yeah.
Can we afford that? Hell no.
Yeah.
We cannot afford that at all. We don't have the draft capital. We don't have the assets. We would get outbid. Like, there was a lot of players that people wanted the Mavs to go after, and I've talked about it. Like, one player whose name came up a lot was Lauri Markkanen. And I was
Yeah.
like, yes, I think he would be great for us. I don't think we could. Well, if we traded Luka for him, then yeah, you can afford him if you trade Luka or maybe even Kyrie for him, maybe even Lively and some other guys. But it's like other teams could easily outbid us. Like, there's better packages out there. Like Kevin Durant, I truly believe is going to Houston. They have young players. They have picks. Two things that the Suns don't have. They don't have young players. They don't have picks. I do believe Kevin Durant is going to Houston. I don't think he's going anywhere else. Giannis, if he loses in the first round, I mean the Bucks lost earlier today against the Pacers. If Giannis loses again in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to leave. And I'd
Yeah,
much
because
be
Giannis said he
happier.
wants to be on a winning team.
What's up?
I said Giannis says he wants to be on a winning team. He doesn't want to be on a losing team.
Yeah. So if we made a pass at Giannis, like that'd be interesting if we had Kyrie, AD, and Giannis, but we're not getting Kyrie, AD, Giannis, and Cooper Flag. And no. And
Yeah,
Kevin
that'd be
Durant, no.
crazy.
Like that would be crazy, but I don't know. I think that's another pipe dream. But as far as what do you think is going to happen? Like, what do you think they're going to do?
Man, how this is looking, I think like, man, I don't need to be negative, but like, I just feel like we're going to get more injured because like, well, Nico Harrison was saying like, we traded Luka for his condition, like he wasn't conditioning good, but we traded for a guy that's more like he gets injured more, and then it's just like I just feel like AD is going to get hurt again. I just feel like we're just going to get people more hurt, players more hurt, because we're going to play them a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I just think until like a couple years, all of our players are just going to get hurt. I don't see these couple years Mavericks are going to be good.
Well, me personally, Mr. Positivity myself, I hope the injuries do stop because if next year we're a lot healthier, then yeah, we could say this year was a fluke. But I will say that if next year the injuries continue, then yes, it is a definite problem from the inside. But Biggest Bird, I appreciate you stopping by. We do have another caller. Any last words for the people at home?
Subscribe and uh respect Marcel because he's been here for a while.
Hey man, I'm not that old, but I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
All right, so we got another caller about to come through, but Big J did make a point. He messaged me saying, we had a chance to trade for Laurie 4 years ago, and the Mavs declined because he would have had to trade Maxey. Would you have traded Maxey Kleba for Laurie Marketing? Let me know in the chat. But we have another caller coming in. I'm going to add you to the show. 1 second. Why is my... This is annoying. Hold on 1 second. I love Discord when it works. The problem is it never works. Yo, welcome to the live stream. Who I got?
What up, Marcel? How you doing, big dog?
Man, how you doing, brother? Welcome. It's our off season now, so you know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we're in Cancun, sunny Cancun, just enjoying ourselves right now.
Man, well, just a short story. My name, Terry for president. So this shows how long I've been a Mavs fan, man. So that's for Jason Terry.
Yeah.
Back in 2008, man. So I'm not here because of Luka. I'm here because I was born here in Dallas. So
there we go.
So this is like the toughest it's been for me, honestly, because I grew up with Dirk on the team. So for him to pass the torch to Luka, and for them to just snatch the torch out of Luka's hands and not to give it to nobody else, I was heartbroken, man.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and I think that's I think it's fair to say that's what a lot of Mavericks fans are struggling with, is just making sense of it all, because you can't. Like there's no convincing. There's no way to like tell someone this and like, oh yeah, I agree. No, no, not at all.
Yeah, man. But I checked to see the free agents. There's nobody of note that we could go after.
Nobody.
The way we did Luka, I don't even see like a notable free agent wanting to come over here. Like not only to like ship somebody out, but to kick their back in after the fact. Like who would want to come to this organization after that?
Yeah, and again, Nico, his ego, whatever he's got going on, it's like you realize that people don't want to come here, and other GMs are probably not going to want to do deals with you because they don't trust you. Like
It just set a bad precedent for all like the agents with the players. Like they don't want to deal with you. It just
yeah.
So I feel like personally, it's going to be like I feel like we need to just go into a rebuild because the image has been tarnished for at least 5 years. So honestly, I feel like we should just ship out AD. We can't even ship out Kyrie because he's only 1 year deal.
Yeah, he's got his
So I don't know about
summer,
that. So I feel like we should just cut our losses, go ahead, go the Sixers route, just go straight into rebuild mode.
Man, if we do go into a rebuild, I'd much rather go with the Oklahoma City Thunder route, where we have a lot of young players that are good and a lot of draft picks still. But the thing is, and I hear what you're saying, I think a rebuild would feel better to a lot of people. I think it would make more sense to a lot of people. The thing about that is, though, it's not the right time to do that. I think the right time to do that is when Klay's gone. He has 2 more years. 2 more years on his contract, which means he's going to retire. He'll be 38. Don't see him playing past 38. Klay will retire. Kyrie and AD will be, like 35, 34. Our younger guys will be a little bit older. But if we have just another 3 to 4 years of extreme failure, like just horrible luck, I think a rebuild is necessary down the road when we have actual draft capital, maybe even trade players with value for more draft capital. But it has to be done in the right way. You have to be smart about it. We can't just, even like this year's trade. If you're going to trade Luka, do it in the offseason. Don't do it in the middle of the season. Like, you really messed things up by doing that. You should have waited till the offseason. Give it some time. So if we are going to rebuild, I don't want to see a big fire sale at the trade deadline. I want to see that in the offseason. After a season, right before we're about to come back, that's the direction. Okay, cool. Because we thought we were making trades in the offseason for Luka in the Mavericks to go back to the finals. And then that completely changed at the deadline, you know what I mean? So it's like you can't make that big of a change mid-season. Like that's too jarring. Like that's crazy. But
and that's what doesn't make sense to me, because if he's saying defense wins championships, he would have gotten more defensive focused people like Klay Thompson, like in his prime, sure, he was a defensive player, but now all he is really a spot up shooter.
Yeah.
And what's best for a spot up shooter? A shot creator.
Yep.
But that's the person we gave away. Like he's good, but he's more of like a slasher.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why you brought in Klay was because of Luka. Now he's gone. You saw how like Klay just fell off. Like he had to start creating shots for himself now, and you saw his numbers just go down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, hey, we had that creator, right? We had that shot creator. So, and that's no dig at Kyrie. It's just, you know, if anybody's watched Kyrie long enough, you know the type of guard he really is and why it works so well with Luka. Like that was such a good pairing. But this is honestly someone who plays 2K and they play my GM and they suck at it because they play on rookie difficulty. Like that's what this looks like. This doesn't look like someone who truly understands what they're doing, and that's unfortunate. However, things aren't always so bad. So let's talk about some of the positives from this season, things that we liked, enjoyed, even moments. What are some of your favorite moments from the season? I spoke earlier. My favorite was just seeing Najee Marshall play, even when he got ejected for putting paws on Nurkic. Yeah, I loved it. Najee Marshall is my favorite Maverick from this year.
To be honest, man, there is barely any positives. My only positive was seeing PJ like the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Like take that extra step forward. Like what was he doing? Like 20 points a game, 25 points a game. Like,
in like what? Like
that was like the only positive.
9
like
plus
after the
rebounds,
trade,
yeah.
Max Christie was good too.
Yeah.
But I think personally for me, I think the reason why the injuries happened, I don't think it was like a faulty training staff. I feel like the players saw how just pissed off the fans were, so they wanted to play harder. So when one person falls down due to injury, everybody else is picking up the pieces. They're going harder and harder. Because they're going harder, they're susceptible to injuries. So then another person falls, and then that just adds on the workload to everybody else. And so that's what I feel like happened.
Yeah.
It was just a domino effect of everybody overdoing it and then getting injured in the process.
No, I
So
totally agree. Yeah,
that's why I feel. I don't think it was like a conspiracy theory. I just feel like everybody was just playing harder because you saw Gafford. He was getting like 20 points a game before he was injured.
Yeah.
PJ was getting 25 points a game before he was injured. Kyrie was doing like 35 points a game before he was injured. So
yeah, everybody had to step
that's
up.
what
And
I
it's
think.
kind of like
it
a catch-22. It's like, hey, someone's hurt, you have to do more. Well, we're getting hurt because we're doing more.
Exactly.
All right, if you get hurt, you have to do more. It's like it just kept piling up.
So that's what I feel like it was. But as far as positives, that was the only thing. But that was kind of like, it's not really a positive because that happened because the Luka trade. If Luka wasn't traded, who knows if any of these players were injured.
That's true, and I will say I've tried my absolute best not to play the what if game because that will run you ragged. Trust me. After this trade, I was like, man, if we did this, if we did that, it'll keep you up at night. However, one thing that I have spoke on is if we won the finals, do we still trade Luka?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't see it because if we won the finals and they traded Luka, if this little S show that Nico's going through right now, imagine if Luka won. Like, nah, he would have been ran out. Like, he would have had to have like top flight security around him 24/7 if that were to happen.
Yes, absolutely. Like, because I think there were reports, and Big J, I saw your message earlier, so just type in the chat and let me know. I think they said that he tried to offload him over the summer, or if it wasn't going to be at the trade deadline, it would have been this upcoming free agency that Nico planned on moving Luka. So, like, that was on his radar. It, like he wanted that to happen. But obviously, if we won a championship, you are less justified to trade Luka. Like, you can't say defense wins championships. You can't say, oh, we don't want players to take time off. We can't, you don't have those excuses. But trading Luka is already crazy. So if you traded him after we won a championship, still crazy. You maybe he still does it, but out of all the what ifs, that's the one where I'm like, if we win, do we still trade him? because, to your point, yeah, Nico would need personal security. It would be madness. The city would have burned. And really quick, hold
I
on.
live in Dallas,
Speaking
I
of
heard.
Luka, the Lakers are playing the Timberwolves. They're getting curb stomped, and someone in the chat just said that Luka got hurt. Oh, snap. What happened? Yeah, 36 seconds ago, someone Twitter said Luka hurt now too. Uh-oh. Can't catch a break. And I don't care for the Lakers. I will say it right now. I do not watch the Lakers. You will never catch me rooting for the Lakers. However, I'm always going to support good players, and I always support Luka. I'm still a basketball fan at the end of the day, right? Like, I want good players to have good careers.
And that's the one unfortunate thing is the team he went to. Because I tried watching a couple Lakers. I can't do it, man. The rivalries we had, the Mavericks and the Lakers throughout the years with Dirk.
Yep,
I
exactly.
can't bring myself to watch a Lakers game, man. So that's the worst part is that I want to support Luka so bad, but I can't support him on the Lakers.
No, like I'll root for him from where I'm at, but I think I watched one game and I knew exactly what I was watching. It was Luka from about 3-4 years ago. You are the best player trying to make these bad players better, and they're still relying on you. Hell, when we played him, when he came back, he dropped 45 on us. LeBron did his thing too, I guess, but like it was the Luka show that entire night. And a lot of times it's probably going to be that as well. Yeah, you have LeBron, you have Austin Reeves. Yeah, okay. We also had Dorian Finney-Smith. We had Maxi Kleber looking like all-stars as well. Like we had other players that looked very good next to Luka. Luka makes other players better. But there was one game where I was like, yeah, this is the Los Angeles Mavericks at this point. Like, welcome. You now have that problem. You're not built for Luka. Like, you did not prepare to have a Luka Doncic. But I really hope he's not like hurt badly. I'm personally gonna follow up on this injury. Hopefully he's fine. But like, yeah, I don't want nothing bad to happen to him. But yeah, I can't. I grew up a Kobe fan. Kobe is still my favorite, best player of all time. Like, he's my GOAT in my head. I'll defend that till I die. Never in my life did I ever want the Lakers to win anything, but I was always happy when Kobe did. The Lakers don't care, but Kobe, always happy for him.
That's the same way I was like watching LeBron. Like, I love LeBron, but sometimes his antics. But when he went to the Lakers, I was like, I can't root for LeBron no more. Like when he won in 2020, I was happy for him, but none of the Lakers.
Like,
but I'm gonna go ahead out. Last thing I want to say is there are so many like sports channels I had to like unsubscribe from, unfollow, whatever. I couldn't bring myself to unfollow Mavericks Digest, man. So you kept me in when I was at my lowest after this Luka trade. But you kept me up, so I can't. I got to stay loyal to the channel.
Hey man, I appreciate that. That means a lot, bro. I really do appreciate it. And I've talked to other creators in the Maverick space, and I won't name them, but I've talked to other creators, and the way I look at it is, in a very short time, I've built a pretty good following in a nice community so far, and they're Mavericks fans who want Mavericks content, and I kind of have to put my personal feelings to the side and how I feel, because there are still people who are waiting to see a video from me. Whenever something happens, people actually care about what I have to say, or maybe they only get their news from me. And I feel like as a content creator with the platform I have a service to people like you and everyone else who still want to follow the team. So as long as the Mavericks are still in Dallas, I'm still making content.
Yeah, I'll keep watching, man. I might have to take a little break for maybe a month or two, but I'll be right back, man.
That's understandable, yeah. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Let me see here. All right, so Luka is back playing. All right, cool. Bet. Luka is back playing. I'm glad that wasn't like a super serious injury. I'm not even sure like what happened, but I'm glad that he's good. Let me fix my screen. But Big J, let's talk about the draft. I know Igor is a player that a lot of people are throwing around. You know, Eastern European, a bigger guard. You know.
Yeah.
Someone who could bring back the flavor of Europe to Dallas.
And it'd be like great value.
It'd be great value.
It'd be like great value, Luka. You know what I mean?
Great value, Luka. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked up, and I'll be honest, I haven't looked up much footage on him, but I saw him in the tournament a few times. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's actually pretty good. Obviously, I'm still high on Jeremiah Fears. I think that one dude Walter, who won, his stock definitely went up, but I don't think he's really going to be that much higher than where he currently is.
Yeah, they got him in the 20s right now.
Yeah, they still have him that low. They don't have him in the lottery, but who knows? We could pick him up. But yeah, there's a lot of players that are good picks for the Mavericks in this draft. Like, obviously, this draft is pretty deep. It's pretty solid. Any team that's rebuilding, you can pick up a good, player you want to build around, or a player to help build around someone else. Like, you definitely have good young talent. But for the Mavericks, though, what is our number one need, and who in the draft addresses that need in some capacity?
I still think we need another, as you were talking, we need another shot creator, someone who can create for others and themselves, but preferably more for others,
Yeah.
And that's why I say, people's like, oh, no, we just take best player. And I'm like, no. Or people naming shooters. I'm like, we don't need shooters. We got 50,000 shooters. But if no one can put the ball in their hands where they need to get it, it doesn't matter how good. Like, we got Clay. And like you just said, if Clay doesn't have someone who can set him up where he needs the ball, it doesn't matter. So that's why I've been looking at the guards in the draft, those who are good shot creators. And I put more stock in that necessarily than the scoring, because I know a lot of people look at, to me, best all around, of course, is going to be someone like a Dylan Harper, but unless we get the top two pick, then he's not going to be there for us. Where we're drafting, Jeremiah Fears may or may not be there, depending on what mock draft you look at. I mean, I looked at Yahoo's today. They showed him going at 11, which I was surprised, but they do. So I've been seeing some of the forwards and some of the bigs have gone up, because like Malawach, the Duke center, he's gone up, of course. Queen has gone up as far as his ranking. So some of those guys are shooting up a little bit, and so it's pushing some of the guards down. And so it may, Colin Kneppel, of course, he's gone up, and once again, that's not the type of player we need.
Right.
But to me, like I said, if Fears falls, that would be ideal. Like I said, last year I think Fears in his rookie year he averaged like 20 points, 5.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds, and pretty good efficiency. And he's a 3-level scorer, but like I said, he can run an offense. Another guy that's I've thrown out a lot is Jace Richardson, who's the son of Jason Richardson.
Yes, he's really good.
For MSU, he's more of a combo guard. I think he's basically everything we thought that Hardy would be, but better. He's more efficient. He's more consistent, a better defender. And he's still the same size. He's 6'3", so he's got, decent size. But he, like I said, he can facilitate to some extent, because, fun fact, the point guard on Michigan State with Jace Richardson is Jeremy Fears, Jeremiah's little brother.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah, I kept seeing Fears, and I'm like, what's Fears? But I'm like, that's his brother.
Okay.
And so he's the real point man. So he doesn't put up the points that his brother does, but he's, like I said, he's decent facilitating. And so, like, he may give you 5 points and 5 assists. But like I said, whereas, and the other thing too with Jace Richardson, he averaged 18 points a game last season. But what people don't understand is he didn't start the first half of the season. He worked his way into the starting lineup, and so he became a starter. Like, I think it was around December, January is when he actually became a starter.
Okay.
So that 18 points is kind of skewed. So he's actually been putting up way more points the last half of the year.
Okay.
And then, like I said,
I just tell people all the time that there are good options, and you just listed a bunch of good options. And so a lot of people believe we need the number one pick or there's no point. Like, no, there are good players. Like, if the only player that you think we need is Cooper Flagg, I need you to really look at the other players that are in this draft and realize there are other good options. Cooper Flagg is a good player. He's a great player. However, that may not be what we need. And I'm not saying that there's a better players, but there could be a better fit for us. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, if we had Cooper Flagg, then we'd have to get rid of PJ, more than likely. You know what I mean? Because there's too much duplication. You can't put PJ, AD, and Gafford or Lively out there with Flagg, because there's no room. But and to me, like I said, I think Flagg is good. I don't think he's generational like a Luka or like a Wemby type player. Like I was talking to Rob earlier today, I said to me, and I think this is a high compliment, I said I think Cooper Flagg's floor is Scottie Pippen.
That's a good floor to have.
A 6'9" Scottie Pippen is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Nah,
Now,
yeah.
will he be Jordan? I don't think so. But I mean, like I said, but if he's a 1B on a championship team, if he gives you was it Jaylen Brown,
Mm-hmm.
then would anybody be? Oh no, Ant's limping off the court. Oh, he walked straight to the locker room. Oh no,
Wait, what?
Ant just limped. He did something, and they're showing the replay now.
What do you do?
He landed weird, fell on his butt, and he got up and walked straight to the locker room.
Ugh, how bad?
Like,
does it
yeah, he looks like he felt like he got bumped in the air, landed off balance, and he's grabbing his calf and his foot. And he basically got up and then just went straight to, he just walked straight off the court, walked straight to the locker room. And was waiting for them to get somebody else in. So, yeah.
Man.
Hopefully he'll be right back because they're up by 22 points right now.
Yeah.
In the end of the third quarter.
And they're going to need him. I mean, he's got 17. I mean, Jaden McDaniels, shout out to him. Him and Nas Reed holding it down for real. I love Rudy Gobert's 2 points, 5 rebounds. They're big for no reason.
Well, and that's the thing. Is like I think Randall's, he's there. He's been doing decent, but like I said, Nas, I think is the key. I was saying that yesterday when we were talking. I said Nas is going to be the one that's going to give them the biggest headache because he can play. He plays good defense and he can shoot the three consistently.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah, Randall, I don't know. Randall's whatever. But yeah, like you said, there's good players in this draft, man. There's Traore, who's
Say again?
Say
again?
No, so we didn't even talk about Traore. I see another good point guard out there option. 6'4". Rob's not as high on him. I like him because I was actually watching whole games, not just highlights. And that's what I started doing with all of them. I started watching whole games, not just highlights, because highlights is everybody looks like a superstar.
Yeah. You got to watch the actual footage.
But when you watch the whole game, like I was watching him get steals, and like he was getting steals on a fast break and throwing the ball, throwing assists over his head backwards and that kind of stuff, which, I like the two-way ability of him. Just like with Dimon, like I said, Dimon's not a great scorer. He's a decent defender. People worry about his foot speed, but like I said, 6'9", he's got amazing court vision because I saw him there's videos of him doing like on fast breaks doing passes between the leg to the cutter. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, doing behind the back, through the leg, passes on the break. That's insane. But there's also videos of him like bouncing around people, passing around people like, in traffic and being able to reach people on like either the three or on the corners and all that. And I'm like, man, he's got some good handle.
We could definitely use a good passer. That would have been nice. But anyway.
Oh, what's wrong? Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
No.
Randall looked like he was about to get into it.
Who?
Randall was, because he looked like they were he was standing there and he had to put his hands up because it looked like he was about to get into it with LeBron or somebody. But yeah, he walked off.
Man,
yeah,
man. I feel like the Timberwolves can win that series, but I feel like if they lose, it's their own fault.
They can win. That's, people don't understand this because the funny thing now is everybody's talking about, oh no, the Lakers got to dance. I'm like, LeBron's maybe got 2 years max left, and if he doesn't win in the next 2 years, then what are they going to do? Because unless you can go get another star to join them there, as long as he's there, you can't afford another star. And if he starts to fall off at all, I don't know what they're going to do. Because he's the second best, sometimes first best player on that team, and so if he falls off at any point, if he has one of those Chris Paul fall offs, one day to the next, then the Lakers are kind of cooked until they can get him off the books at 50-something million a year.
I would like to have a team that doesn't have money problems, but it could be worse. We could be the Phoenix Suns, who have to like let players go just so they could trade players.
That's what they were saying. They said that because they did talk about stretch wave, but then I was watching what's his name saying that again today. They said that they cannot actually stretch waive Beal because you can only have 15% of the salary in stretch waive and players who are stretched. And so they said they can't afford to waive him too.
I think they're waiving Cody Martin.
Well, they said that there's 2 players that said that they dropped those because right now, if they keep everybody on the team, they're 11 million above the second apron, which means they are cooked. Because they'll be in repeater text. They'll be in the repeater text territory, which is that's when it just gets astronomical. But the thing is, they said if they cut 2 players, then they drop below there, and then they could figure out something with Beal. They said with Beal, what they'd probably have to do is get him to take a $14 million a year cut, and then they can stretch waive him,
Okay.
and then they'll be below the. So they said they'd have to hope that he could go find a mid-level exception spot somewhere where he can still make the same money or better. But I'm like, I don't know if anybody sees mid-level exception value in him.
No, I mean, look, Bradley Beal, I knew what was happening or what was going to happen the moment that they got him. I did not see no big three. I saw a big mess. Bradley Beal,
Yeah.
and I've always told people this, Bradley Beal followed in the footsteps of John Wall. John Wall was in Washington. He played very, very well. He got a big contract. He got hurt. He got traded. So that was John Wall. Bradley Beal played very well. Got a big contract. Got hurt. Got traded. Like, I'm not impressed when you put up good numbers on a bad team that doesn't go anywhere. I'm not impressed by that. I'm impressed if you can put up good numbers and still find some level of some level of success. To another degree, Zach LaVine, probably one of the worst. I don't want to really make it this is going to sound harsh, but hear me out. One of the worst careers one of the worst careers for a player of that talent level. Zach LaVine is a very good player. He's a very good player.
Yeah.
But if you look at I'm just looking it up real quick. Zach LaVine playoff wins. Let me see. I'm sorry. I had a spicy sushi roll and it hit the back of my throat. I'm dying. When the sushi fights back. I love sushi, but man. All right, let me see here. Zach LaVine has a total of how many games played? Has he only been in the playoffs twice in his career? I'm sorry. For the Chicago Bulls, I think he's only ever played 4 playoff games, and he lost all 4.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find his actual playoff. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, wow. Zach LaVine playoff history. The only times he was ever in the playoffs was 2021, 2022, and he only won 1 game. Zach LaVine has only ever won 1 playoff game in his entire career. And in that 1 playoff game, he put up, what was it? Let me look at his stats here. He had 20 points, 4 turnovers, 1 steal, 1 personal foul, 3 assists, 1 rebound. He shot 7 of 13 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3. 1 playoff win in his entire career. He's a very talented player, very good. 1 playoff win entire career. That's not a player that's going to help me win a championship.
Well, so I was going to ask you a question. So we talk about teams that are in worse positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento, who hadn't made the playoffs until last year, it was the first time in 17 years. They go and they trade for DeMar DeRozan.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because, he was on the Bulls and they had a chance. But then, and the Bulls had been struggling last few years. But then what do? Then they trade Fox and then they go get Zach LaVine, who I'm like, what made you think if it wasn't working on the Bulls, it'll work here? You know what I mean?
You literally inherited Chicago's problem.
Yeah. All the salary and all the problem that they had, because now you have those 2 guys in a big European center and you're just not winning anything.
The Sacramento Bulls?
Pretty much.
Hopefully Chicago can start making the right moves, because they've also been a franchise that I used to say is one of the worst, because prior to the DeMar and Zach LaVine trade this year, they have not made a trade for a player in 3 or 4 years. I think when they first got DeMar, that was the last time they made a trade. They've done nothing. And I'd much rather have a team that makes trades than a team that just sits around and just nothing happens. We're just going to live and die by these players. Wow, wonderful. I love it. But there are worse organizations, the Phoenix Suns. Horrible situation.
Yeah.
They have no draft capital. They've got no money for free agency, so they have to drop players, try and trade players that no one wants. Yeah, even though I hate where things are for Dallas, would much rather be here than Phoenix.
Oh yeah, at least we're not in the second apron. So
very true. Very true. And then what? The Washington Wizards, I don't know what's there to be happy about. The Wizards just exist. Like, you just exist as a franchise.
And that's another one. I mean, if the Wizards get the number 1 pick, if I'm Cooper Flag, I may consider not coming out because I really would not want to go to that franchise. I mean, you're going to probably go to a bad franchise anyway as the number 1 pick, but I would not want to go to the Wizards. You know what I mean?
Send me to New York. I'd rather go to New York before man. Send me to Phoenix. I
Well,
go to
like the
Phoenix. I
Nets?
go to Washington.
Well, that's the problem. Phoenix didn't have that pick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Houston's got that pick.
Man, wouldn't it be crazy?
That's what I'm saying.
The Thunder get the number 1 overall pick.
They can, but no, they can't. They can't.
What do you mean?
Because the pick that they have from the 76ers is top 6
Oh,
protected.
top 6. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, so if the Sixers drop out, and that would be another thing. So if the Sixers don't so if they get pushed back twice in the draft, then all of a sudden they're screwed because that pick gets sent over to OKC. But then that's another problem for OKC because they'll have 3 first-round picks. They can't really afford not afford, but they don't have room to sign the three first-round picks. You know, they need to re-sign Chet, and they need to give extension to Chet to this year. So I don't know if they got room for it unless they're going to gut the rest of their players, the rest of the bench.
Man, it's been a crazy season for the Mavericks, Jay. It's been, I mean, you've been a fan longer than I have, and in your personal experience, does this compare to the '90s?
No, so like I said, to me, this is about the biggest. I'm trying to think of what the biggest gut punch. It hurts more than losing Steve Nash because Luka was better than Steve Nash. But like I said, it's close. Remember, Steve Nash was here. The team had a chance to easily keep him, but for whatever reason, they let him go to free agency, and then we didn't match when Phoenix made the offer. And I understand that the saying was like Phoenix told me he had 30 minutes to accept our offer and we move on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he left here and immediately won 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that hurt. But then, like I said, to me, what was hurt worse was not bringing back the 2011 team. And Mark, once again, thought that, well, there's no way this team wins the championship again. But I'm like, why not? You just won one. And we would have been getting back Caron Butler, who missed most of that season. If you think Caron Butler's offense and defensive production along with Shawn Marion, because we didn't get to see a lot of that year because he got hurt so early. But if you would have added another 18-point-a-game scorer that can play defense, you know, who's 6'7", 6'8", next to the Matrix, they probably had a good chance of running it back the next year.
Man, Shawn Marion, my favorite Maverick. The reason why I became a Mavericks fan, he played for Toronto for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
played with Phoenix, and Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, Phoenix. Yeah. I was also another Phoenix Suns player that I was always a big fan of. But I think of him more as like as a New York Knick. But Amari Stoudemire, loved him. Absolutely loved Amari. Thought he was unstoppable.
Yeah, Amari was great.
And see, like I liked guys that just played hard. Because another player that I really liked, not sure what happened to him in his career, but Kenneth Faried.
Yeah, I remember him.
I love the man.
What, a Marquette guy? Yeah, I saw him in the G League a couple of years ago.
What is he doing?
He was in the G. He fell out like it's crazy the players who fall out with favorable teams. But Kenneth Faried was in the he was in the G League about 2 years ago because I saw he still had the braids, the dreads. And I was like, wait, that guy looks familiar. And I'm like, that's Kenneth Faried. But he lost a lot of weight because he used to be kind of tank built,
Yeah.
But he's slimmer now. But yeah, I mean, he's still playing. I don't know what happened to him, but I saw what was the other guy? There was there was a guy that took over in Milwaukee when what's his name left? Who's the 3-point shooter that took over in Milwaukee once Ray Allen left?
Not Brandon Jennings.
No. He was same mold as, let's see. But I saw him in the G League, and I was like, hey,
man,
would have been like 2006. Let's see.
Yeah, Kenneth Faried. Yeah, he fell off silently. Yeah, that's again, I like those type of players, and I think that's why I also. Oh, Monte Ellis, was it Monte Ellis?
No, it wasn't. It was
Nah.
oh, I said Bucks. They should give me the Brewers roster.
But I think that's why I
Oh,
like
Google.
Gafford and PJ, because like that's like the archetype of player that I've always. That's the type of player I wanted to be. Like like a 3-4 that's just kind of like a bruiser down low. Love those type of players. But I see a name pop up a lot in the chat tonight, and I've seen this name float around, and I want to hear your take on it because I'm not for it, but people want to get Chris Paul.
I mentioned him a few weeks ago. If you wanted insurance at the point guard spot, like, and I'm not talking about giving him a bunch of minutes, but like someone who, like I said, I think we just need someone who can basically be a bus driver, who could facilitate. You don't need somebody that can score, but if you didn't trust the rookie and you didn't trust Brandon Williams,
Yeah.
and like I said, if Exum's healthy, then I think he'd be our best option as a stopgap point guard for next season. Because I'd much rather see him over Spencer Dinwiddie. I know people love Spencer Dinwiddie because he scores more, but I think Exum, even though he did have some good games with assists the last few games, but Exum's just a better facilitator and better defender than Dinwiddie. And he doesn't make the boneheaded mistakes that Dinwiddie makes. Like, Dinwiddie will still do the thing where he'll dribble the air out of the ball. He'll still do the thing where, he'll just take like either shots real early in the shot clock, or he'll take shots. He'll wait until there's like 3 seconds left and then try and hurry up and throw a grenade to somebody because he gets stuck. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'd much rather see you do well. Oh, Luka's running weird, but okay.
Yeah, I just got a tweet from Sham saying that Andy Edwards has a cramp apparently.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. He was rubbing his leg, so
That's good.
is he back? Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, I think he's back in there. But
He's already playing now, yeah.
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie. There was moments in the season I was never down on having Spencer back. I was like, he's familiar with what we got going on. He's cheap as a mug. You get what you get. He'll always play better than what you're paying for. So cool. But there are moments that frustrate me with Spencer. Dribbling the air out the ball, taking dumb shots. He's got the confidence of Luka Doncic, and it's so funny to see sometimes. And I think towards the end of the season, he was playmaking more. He was finishing games with like 7, 8, 9 like assists. Like he was doing a better job passing the ball. But you can't trust him late game with the game on the line. His defense is horrible. His decision making isn't always the best. Dante, I would like to keep Dante longer, but I need him healthy. I need Dante healthy. I can't deal with him getting these weird random injuries. Obviously, I think Brandon Williams deserves to get more.
Naz Reid is down.
Who is?
Naz Reid's down. He's been down for about 2 minutes now.
What is going on in this game?
I don't know. He's got his hand on his face. He looks like he's wanting to cry.
Hey, bro.
They had the trainer standing on him. Yeah.
Hey, real quick. Let's switch topics because I was going to bring this up about what I plan on doing with this channel for the playoffs. Obviously, this is Mavericks Digest. The Mavericks are no longer in the playoffs, so I'm not going to stream other teams here. If we have a Digest channel, I'll most likely be on that channel and go live. I think Lakers Digest is actually live right now. Let me check. Because I helped them with their stream before this stream, so let me see. Yeah, they're live right now. It's got 7 people watching. That's nice. But I was thinking about going on playback and go live for a few games and maybe not follow one team, but like just pick a game every day or every other day that sounds like a good game to watch. I think I'm gonna do that. I may even make like a poll.
I wouldn't mind doing something like that. Like, I've been hopping on with I guess Cap and Crown now,
Mm-hmm.
but I was hopping on with them, and the only problem I have is that sometimes we still get the as we're talking about different things, we'll switch over to a rant, and I'd be like, oh man, like we got to do this again,
Yeah. No, I mean, I just want to do kind of like how I do the watch longs here on YouTube, but like I know on playback I can show the actual game and react to it, so I think that's probably what I'm looking to. But I am gonna. I've got another video dropping tomorrow. I think I've got one tomorrow and Monday. And then unless something actually comes up, I'm probably gonna go MIA for a while. We're out the playoffs. If there's nothing to talk about, I'm gonna just enjoy my days off. But probably sometime late next week, Thursday, Friday, I'll probably pop back up and be like, all right, we're going to play back. We're going to watch some of these games together, and it's going to be crazy. Because this Lakers and Timberwolves game sound like a great game to go live for. People getting hurt, people getting blown out, like what?
Oh, I mean, and I know it'd be unpopular. Anytime the Lakers can lose, I mean, I'm all for it. I know Luka's on the Lakers, but I still can't. I have a hatred for the Lakers and the Spurs. That of my watching basketball, shake that, and that's why I can't just go watch them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they lose, they lose. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, I am a fan of basketball. I've always said that. I've always been a basketball fan first, and so. But I mean, obviously, with my own bias, it's like I can't stand the Lakers. I really can't. I really can't. But however, a good product is a good product. So if it's a good game, I'll watch a good game. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do for the playoffs, and I'll most likely let the chat decide. But we do have a caller coming through. I'll go ahead and bring him in.
Oh, he just popped up. Yeah, I was just looking.
All right, we got Randall in the chat. Randall, are you muted? Yes, you are muted. Randall, you're muted. If you're on your phone, I think you have to like tap your phone and hit the microphone to unmute it. Randall, can I unmute you? No, I cannot. Randall, you're muted. All right, we're gonna let Randall figure that out before we bring him back. But it's all good. I saw him pop in earlier. Hey Randall, if you're in the like
Oh, he just left the waiting room.
yeah, he's probably gonna like leave and come back, which is fine. I gotta fix this. Why is my OBS is so annoying? But yeah, but anyway, I don't know what I was saying.
You were talking about playback.
Yes, I plan on doing playback for a few games. Might let the YouTube channel vote on the game. Just something fun to do because I do like going live. It's always a fun time. I like getting hype, and because I watch so much Mavericks basketball, I don't really know too much what goes on with other teams. So it'd be good for me to learn other players that aren't like marquee name players. But I'll decide in the upcoming days. I know that so one thing I do want to talk about now that I got you here is that as a Mavericks fan, we have to talk about Luka. And I don't mean that as far as like we have to talk about him all the time. But when you have a player that was that huge, that meant that much, who was that much of a cornerstone player for your team, it's unfortunate, but he will come up. That's like being a Cavalier fan and you don't talk about LeBron. You're a Cleveland Cavalier fan. LeBron's name will almost always come up in discussion of your organization. Or you're a Bulls fan. You're going to talk about Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, that just happens. And so, when it comes to Luka, I know people hate, and I've seen the comments, and at first I was like, all right, let me chill. But now I'm like, if I got to talk about it, I'll talk about it. It's all right to talk about Luka. Now, I'm not sitting here kicking and screaming and crying like, oh, he needs to come back. Like, no. Matter of factly, we can still talk about Luka. So I say that because I don't know if you saw the other day, he had an interview with ESPN. He finally had to sit down.
Yeah, with Malika.
Yeah, and I have a video going over that coming up, but I realized that was his first time really having like a sit down interview about the trade that wasn't like a press conference.
Yep. Yeah.
And it was crazy. Like, he still has he threw his phone and it broke the night that he found out he got traded, and he still has that phone. He still uses it. I'm like, bro, go buy a new phone, dude.
He doesn't have money for that kind of stuff.
Oh,
you know
I forgot.
I mean?
They took away his $300 million contract, which is also crazy. But yeah, and just listening to Luka talk, because at my job, it was on one of the screens, and so we tuned into it, and it's going to be a never-ending nightmare, and something that's going to be tied to us for a very long time. And again, I don't think you can find a good comparison, but just off the top of my head, imagine being a Cavalier fan and LeBron leaves to go to Miami.
Well, see, that's different. He left to
He
go.
left, but what I mean
He
as
didn't
far as like
push it.
imagine
Yeah, I
how
know.
those fans felt in that moment because we were only 2 months removed. It hasn't been 2 years. We're only 2 months removed. Imagine Cavs fans 2 months still 2 months after LeBron left you. You're upset. You're going to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying as far as like, oh, being traded versus leaving. I'm just saying this is a topic that will be brought up. LeBron leaving to go to Miami was a talking point for years. Still a talking
Oh
point.
yeah.
And so this trade is unfortunately going to be one of those. And even if we don't talk about it, doesn't mean it didn't happen. You know.
No, I got you. And I still will talk about like I don't talk to people about the trade. My only thing is like I still have people that hop in the chat and in Discord that'll be like, you know, as soon as we fire Nico and this and then, they'll sell the team back to Mark and Luka will come back. I'm like, Luka's not coming back, man. I was like, why would he? Like it's that weird thing that gets on my when people can't understand that yes, the trade happened. It was a bad idea, from what we see. But, bad things happen in life, and at some point you have to move on,
Yeah.
or you don't, from a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's healthy to live in negativity.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Being
You
negative
can
all the time
analyze
ain't
it,
good
talk.
for you.
Yeah, you can talk about it, analyze it, process it, but to like I said, the folks that we see that just, oh man, I wish Luka was here. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it was cool when he was here. I love Luka being here. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, at some point you got to move on.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with myself. I'm gonna be honest with the chat too. It's like I think I was trying to force myself to move on because I'm telling you, man, that watching him cry, watching his own tribute, opened up every wound. I thought I was
Yeah,
good. I thought I was fine. I had my moment to be emotional, and then I'm good now. But that made me realize maybe I'm not over it. Maybe I'm not as over it as I think I am because I know that made grown men cry watching Luka react to his own tribute. And then in that interview with Malika Andrews, how he he was going to stay. Like there was always these weird talks of, well, we didn't know if he was going to sign for the Supermax or if leave if he didn't. Like, what do you mean you didn't know? Did you talk to him about it? Did you have those conversations? Were you willing to go that far? Obviously, he wasn't worth that to you. Obviously, we know how much you valued Luka. Like we get it, but still, it's like, man, it hurts. It hurts. And again, we're only 2 months removed. So come next season, I'm sure people will still talk about it, especially if the Lakers have some good success in the playoffs. If they go all the way, well, yeah, they're going to bring this up. But eventually, there will be a time where this isn't the number one topic of discussion when it comes to the Mavericks. Eventually, it'll be a time and place where we'll have other things to talk about, and this isn't the number one thing.
I think, like I said, once we get past this off season, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with this series or anything, but like I said, it does look like Minnesota is giving them headaches, and so if they get bounced in the first round, and this is what I was telling some of the other folks, I'm like, what I could see happening is if they lose, the first round.
Yeah.
I said one thing that we're going to hear, and I've known this for years, and I'm sure you've noticed this. Whoever's on the team with LeBron bears the brunt of the responsibility if LeBron loses in the playoffs.
Yep.
The media will not blame LeBron because he won't let him. But
Check this out. Hold on.
Yeah.
Just to your point, the Timberwolves are up 16 points on the Lakers. There's about 6 minutes left in the game. They're up by 16.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron only has 19. Luka has 37, and let's see who gets more blame.
Oh, I guarantee it's going to be, Luka should have been sharing more.
Yep.
Luka's a ball hog. That's the stuff that you will hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to, and that's what I said, because I was talking to Luka Stan, who he was like, oh, man, and I'm like, dude, you think Luka gets criticized now. I said, if they lose, they will not criticize LeBron because the media can't criticize LeBron.
Nope.
So what happens, And they're like, he's like, I don't know what I'm saying, but like I said, that's what will happen.
Yeah.
And I said, so.
Man, it's unfortunate. Super unfortunate.
It is, but that's why, like I said, that's why a lot of players don't like playing with him because it's never his fault.
No. You really do have to be And I guess it doesn't really matter, but I guess what helps is if you are already a star and you play with LeBron. Like Kyrie, I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't remember Kyrie getting the blame over LeBron, but LeBron got the credit over Kyrie. That happened.
And that's what frustrated Kyrie when
Yes.
you remember they made the statement, that interview that I think was one of the things that sent him out of there when they were talking about, about LeBron being a father figure to him, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, I have a father. They were like,
Yeah.
well, no, I mean, just his leadership. And he's like, has he mentored? He's like, no, because he's like, oh, I misunderstood. Then they said again, he's like, no, you are trying to say he's like a father figure. He's like, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and people don't understand why that would be insulting to someone who has like
Who
a
has
father who is an independent person.
like a good father at that. Like we know Kyrie and his dad have a really good relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's just it's weird that people think, oh no, it's weird, but like I said, we'll see that if they. I want to see what happens if they lose tonight, and it looks like they are. If they end up losing tonight, what happens then? What's the narrative?
What's the narrative? I think that's exactly what we want to find out. Someone said that, or I'm on Twitter, and someone said that the Lakers bench has been horrible. Off the bench, they have a total of 8 points. 3 from Dorian, 3 from Gabe Vincent, 2 from Jared Vanderbilt. Why do you still play Gabe Vincent in the year 2025? That is absolutely horrible.
Wait, what does Austin Reeves have? Because that's the other thing I keep hearing him. They said Austin Reeves is part of their big three. And I'm like, Austin Reeves is not, because they kept calling him AR. I'm like, he doesn't deserve a nickname yet. He hasn't done anything to deserve a nickname. I'm not going to call him AR-15.
Has a nickname?
Well, no, because they call him AR-15. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I know Andre Kirilenko was AK-47, but he was AK-40. He deserved it and it fit.
Yeah.
But like, no, I'm not going to give him Austin Reeves. He hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah. I mean, so tonight he has 16 points. So he's a third leading scorer. And Austin Reeves is not bad. But I mean, you're still like, you're a third option. You're a good third option, but you're a third option. So it's like, what are you doing when LeBron's having a bad game? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think a good example of just being not a primary option and still being effective. And hear me out when I say this. A few years ago, it might have been 5+ years ago now, when Portland had CJ McCollum and Dame. CJ stepped up sometimes when Dame had bad games, and he would play better.
Mm-hmm.
If LeBron plays bad, the whole team suffers, apparently.
Yep.
And if LeBron plays well and still loses, it's all your fault.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that's the contradiction that is playing with LeBron James. But yeah, I mean, even with Dwayne Wade, he took a back seat, and it was very easy for him to just still win while still being a part of the team. But then Chris Bosh, I think, got somewhat the short end of the stick going to Miami, because I think Chris Bosh was very important, but just doesn't really get talked about a lot.
Well, Chris Bosh, once again, Chris Bosh, just like Kevin Love, they were stars in their own right. They ran teams by themselves, and they sacrificed huge chunks of their games to LeBron to get zero credit. They won a championship, but you get zero credit in that championship because everybody looks at you as like the third banana,
Yeah, and that was always weird.
And his numbers dropped.
His numbers dropped was phenomenal.
Yeah. Chris Bosh was like a top 2 power forward in the league at that time. He was right behind Tim Duncan.
Yep.
It was Tim Duncan, Chris Bosh, and then a little later it was Kevin Love. Because remember, Kevin Love in Minnesota was 22-10 every night.
But he changed his entire play style when he got traded to Cleveland. He was not. He didn't even play the same way.
No, same thing. Yeah, he became a complimentary third option versus the dominant force that he was. Because remember, Kevin Love was shooting threes. He was doing everything.
Yeah, hey, you space the floor. I don't do that. Well, you do now. You're playing with LeBron. Do that.
That's the thing. So it's weird. Like I said, but Bosh was going through the same thing. Because Bosh was averaging probably 20-10 and probably 3 blocks a game. But then he gave up a lot of his game to go play with LeBron. And he was averaging like 15 and 6. And people are like, oh, he's washed. I'm like, he's not washed. I'm like, once again, as much as I didn't like what they were doing, I gave credit to. I'm like, the dude sacrificed his game to win, and they were winning. But you're never going to, like I said, and the fact that you have to have no ego basically to be in that position. You know.
You absolutely have to. If you play with LeBron, you have to put everything to the side, and that's unfortunate. And I don't want to sit here and say, "Oh, that's LeBron's fault," or that's how he wants it. Or reality, that could just be how it is when you play with LeBron. And I always believe that it's like, yeah, when you play with someone that great, he's not going to adjust to you. You got to adjust to him because everywhere he went, Cleveland, Miami, back to Cleveland, now in LA, he doesn't show up and tries to fit what you're doing. He shows up and you got to fit around him.
Even the Olympics. What happened with his last Olympics? Remember?
Yeah.
He took over and became the dominant force. And like I said, Jason Tatum couldn't even get on the court.
Wild.
Because
wild.
That's just how it is, though. It's like, and like I said, to me, I know he makes everybody around him better. It's one of the things they say, but it's like, everybody kind of shrunk around LeBron because he became the system, which he's always the system wherever he is.
Yeah.
Except now it's different this time in LA because he has someone who's clearly better than him right now next to him. So it'll be interesting to see how that
happened
works.
in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, has he ever played with somebody better than him?
No. Right now, yeah, Luka is better than him. Luka's got 37 points, 1 assist, and that is probably the scariest stat. Not the 37 points. The fact that Luka has 1 assist. They're missing shots. They're missing shots. Because I know he's passing the ball. I know he's passing the ball.
Oh, yeah, he is.
But 1 assist, yeah, they're missing shots. A bunch of other people have assists, like Austin Reeves have 3, LeBron has 3, Rui 2. Yeah, y'all have assists because you probably passed to Luka.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure LeBron's got assist passes to Luka, but
yeah.
I don't know if you remember, was it last year, year before last, when Luka had the most, uncompleted assists in the NBA?
Yeah.
Where he passed to people and they couldn't complete the shots, but I think he had like 7 of those a game.
Crazy. Absolutely insane. Really quick, the Lakers as a team have 31 rebounds. The Timberwolves have 42. They have 14 assists. The Timberwolves have 28. I'm not watching the game, but looking at these splits, I can kind of tell what's going on. But
yeah, I've been looking at it. I had it on the whole time, kind of watching between stuff, but it's weird. They look discombobulated.
But I think the more important game is game 2. How do you come back? JJ Redick, coach.
If Redick doesn't adjust, what do you do?
Let LeBron coach?
He already did.
Yeah.
we kind of know he already does.
Yeah, LeBron does the coaching. We know that. But that's the thing. It's like, because for us, last year we lost game 1. We lost every game 1. And then we adjusted and came back. Yeah. So game 2 and 3, let's see what those look like. I think losing the first game of the playoffs is just jarring. Like, oh, you lost the first game. Yeah, it can look bad, but we got 6 more games.
But here's the problem I have with that. Just like, I don't think we were talking about the fact that we don't take, historically, Kid does not take the first 10 to 20 games of a season seriously.
Nope.
Is extremely frustrating to me.
I hate it.
And he does the same thing in the playoffs, where he doesn't take, Randall's back in the waiting room.
Oh, all right. Let me grab him. We got Randall. Randall, welcome to the live stream, brother. Can you hear me? You're not muted. At least it doesn't say you're muted. Hello, 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 Randall.
It's not working.
Oh, wait, hold on. Say something.
Hello?
Oh, man, you sound muffled. I don't know if it's like your phone speaker. I have you turned all the way up. Say something. We'll put you back in the waiting room. If you're in the chat, Randall, if you just want to like message what you want to like talk about, I can just read it off that way. But I know Discord be messing with a lot of people. But anyway, yeah, the game 1. I mean, I'm sorry, not game 1. Jason Kidd not taking the first 10 to 20 games of the season serious is very, very frustrating. I would love it if we had a coach that just had guys prepared from the jump. And this is no slight to Jason Kidd, because I don't think, hear me out, I want a better coach, but I don't hate Jason Kidd. But I know that I can get a better coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so what I think needs to happen is just like with with Nico, with all that. I mean, I think Kid needs to be held accountable.
Yes.
Because Kid gets very stubborn. Kid falls in love with players, especially his vets, even when they're unproductive, and that's what frustrates me. Like we've seen where Kid will play THJ when THJ is being terrible. There was a stretch last year when I think it was like a 2 or 3 month stretch where Maxey was averaging 12% from three, but we kept sending him out there, and they're also talking about how Maxey's our best, perimeter defender, big. I'm like, no, he's not. And it's one of those things where, like I said, he stubbornly locks into stuff, and we saw it this year with Spencer, where he was very comfortable with Spencer, so he kept leaning on Spencer, and even when Spencer had that 0 for 12 game,
yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
well, we got to have Spencer right there, and I'm like, where is Hardy with that hook? You know what I mean? When does Hardy get that hook? Because I think if you give people like him confidence, I think he played with Clay's minutes to effect like that, where Clay wasn't getting the opportunity to get out there and get his shots because he'd pull Clay, put Spencer in for like the second and third quarter, and then put Clay back in the fourth and like go Clay. And I'm like, you can't do that to a shooter. You can't let a shooter get cold. But for some reason, like I said, he's very weird the way he does stuff.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's something that I think, because someone had come in on the stream earlier already tonight and said how they want to see us go through a rebuild, and I'm like, maybe not yet, but we will need one in the next few years. And at that point, I think you just need to really just start over. Nico will most likely be gone because his contract will be up. Jason Kidd, you could either get rid of him or just let him go. When we start over, it's probably best to really just look brand new. Don't look like you just made adjustments. Don't look like you just made a few tweaks. No, go through a rebuild, get a new coaching staff, new training staff, new GM, like a fresh coat of paint. And I think that's how you start to really get things back on track, is when you hit that big red button and just start over. Truly start over.
So one thing I will throw out, and I see trades all the time, but I saw one trade that did interest me. And I'm not saying do it, but it was a trade for us. It was a trade for AD to Houston, and it was Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore, and was it Reed Shepherd, and like 2 firsts. And I'm like, you know,
that's like, a nice little package. Those are some good players.
You get a good big. I love Cam Whitmore. I think he's underrated. And the funny thing is, they think about Cam Whitmore the same way that people here think about Hardy.
No. Cam Whitmore's a dog. I think he could really be one of the better players in the league in the next few years, purely because he just works hard. Like if you know anything about Cam Whitmore, he is a workhorse. He is a dog.
No, I watched him in the G League. He's bigger. Yep. He's bigger because he's like 6'7", and he's built like a tank.
Yes.
But then he also can play. Like he dropped 27, but they said they just, for whatever reason, they don't think he fits in with what they're trying to do. And I'm like, that's crazy. But I'm like, if you guys want to trade him, I'm like, yeah, I'll take him. So that's what I'm saying. I could see moving an AD for that, because like I said, I think Jabari Smith, he's not AD, but he's a good two-way big.
Yeah.
Cam Whitmore is a good wing. And then Reed Shepherd is a good point. I mean, he's a scoring point guard. I mean, like
in Houston's
that
not
could
using
basically
Reed.
No, they're not. They're not using him or Whitmore or really Jabari, because they got Şengün.
They just sit
so
on
they're
the
not
bench.
really using. They sit on the bench. So I'm like, why not take those guys, give them AD? And I'm not saying I want to get rid of AD, but I'm like, for that trade, I was like, it made my eyes perk up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but a player that I brought up, I meant to bring this up earlier, so I want to transition our talks into trades, because I do believe this offseason will be very limited as far as who we can acquire, who we, free agency trades. It's not going to be glamorous. It's not going to look like this past offseason. But one player that I did bring up in the Discord that I'm going to bring to the live stream is RJ Barrett of the Toronto Raptors. is someone that the Raptors were trying to move at the deadline, and somehow, some way, they got Brandon Ingram and still kept R.J. Barrett. However, you have I almost said Scottie Pippen. You have Scotty Barnes, you have R.J. Barrett, you have Emmanuel Quickley, and you have Brandon Ingram. You've got Jonas Valanciunas. You have Jakob Poeltl, and they've got a couple other young guys that are doing pretty well over there as well. Most likely, for salary and for fit reasons, they may be looking to move R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett, I'm looking at his contract real quick. RJ is on a 4-year, $107 million contract that he got from the Knicks. He just finished his second year of that contract, so next year he'd be owed $27 million. Is RJ Barrett a type of player that we should trade for or could trade for? He's averaging 21, 6, and 5, and he's not the. I have not watched a lot of Raptors basketball this year. I don't know if RJ Barrett is their number one option on offense, but even if he's not, averaging 21 points per game is very good, and we need scoring.
That's about what he was doing in New York, too, isn't it? He was giving about 20, 21 points in New York.
Yeah.
And so you remember they got Brandon Ingram over there. Did you already mention they got Brandon Ingram along with Emmanuel Quickley, too?
Yep, they got a Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett. Like, that's kind of a clog right there. Like, someone's got to touch the ball.
And Grady Dick.
And Grady Dick, who's really stepped up. He's their best three-point shooter. They have a good, talented squad, but just the same issue that they had after they won a championship, you can't keep all these players. You're going to have to start moving somebody.
Now, let's see. You could probably make that work for RJ, but, once again, what it would probably take, because he's 24 years old, to get numbers to work, you could do...
Yeah, so RJ's 24. What, you got the trade machine?
Yeah, I'm on the trade machine right now.
Yeah.
I'm trading.
Fire that up and send me a screenshot, and I'll show it.
Let
me see. I'll try to do my own. Chat, if you wanted to get RJ Barrett, what would you offer? We're gonna talk about trades. We're gonna go and talk about trades real quick. So if I want RJ Barrett, who do I have to give up? That's what, 21 million, 27 million?
Probably throw in his first or something.
I'll give.
So we need to put more cap.
Dang.
All right, so I need to throw one more player in.
So many players on some weird level contracts.
But they said those are not bad contracts, though.
They're not. It's just.
I need to adjust it though because of that first apron. So let me go and adjust it. And I'll probably throw.
We don't have a second round pick to move till 2030. My God. I gotta give. All right, let me just try my trade before I add picks to it.
I did it. So I got mine to go through.
So mine failed. Mine failed. I was going to give him Clay and Caleb Martin for RJ.
I tried that again. Mine failed. So I had to throw in Omax.
Ooh. Okay. Toronto likes collecting Canadians, so I think that would actually work. They do.
But yeah.
Say again?
Caleb Omax can play get there, but I'm like, and I know some people like Rob wants to move Omax, and I have zero idea why. I'm like, he's a cheap contract, and like me, I looked it up this year. He actually had more threes this year in the few games he played than Maxi Kleber did. And I always said, just give Omax Maxi Kleber's minutes, and you'll get way more production.
Yeah.
But
Jason Kidd just has a thing for older players.
I know, but like Rob was like, let's get out of it, let's get rid of him. I'm like, why would we get rid of him? I'm like, he actually, he hustles, he plays good defense, and he can shoot the three. And like I said, in the fewer games he's played, he actually has more three. He has one more three than Omax. I mean, the Maxi, who's supposed to be our stretch forward.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
I think Omax, you really have to give Omax like that opportunity that Brandon Williams got. Brandon Williams got an opportunity to really show us what he can do, and he went off with it, and and it looks good. But Omax kind of needs that too. Otherwise, same boat as Jaden Hardy, trade them if you're not going to use them. They're not developing to the point of where they can really help us right now. It's a disservice to them to just rot on the bench anyway if they're not doing anything.
That's why I said we need to, part of this, not rebuild, but like maybe reload. like I said, I think we need to reload with player. Like I said, from a player to get this rookie in. But I think we also need to get a bit. We need to make Jason Kidd uncomfortable this offseason. We need to have a coach with a pedigree. There's a bunch of them that got fired.
Yeah.
We need a coach with a pedigree that can sit right next to him on that bench. That's not an advisor like we made. What's his name?
Frank Vogel.
Yes. We need someone who's on the bench next to him. That if Jason Kidd screws up, we can go ahead and get rid of him. But who also can help us develop young players because, people give him credit for Lively, but that was Tyson Chandler. Chandler worked with Lively and turned him into a viable player.
Yes.
We need someone who could work with these guards, and I know that's a problem with great players, and he was a great point guard, but he doesn't know how to teach other guards to be great because even when the stuff with Brandon Williams, that's Kyrie.
That's Kyrie.
That's been working with those guys, not Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we need another. That's why I said if we get a point guard, let Kyrie work with him for the next 2 years to be the point guard of the future. And I'm like, I think, but that's what I said. We need someone else who can help develop young players. And and maybe if, like I said, the first half of next year that'll be Kyrie while he's rehabbing and stuff. But
yeah,
I just don't want us to throw away good guys and good players for old players, who aren't producing.
No, not at all. Not at all. But we do have a question from Randy Bean. He was Randall, and I guess his mic wasn't working, but he said, can the Mavs ever get a high-level free agent with no Luka to lure them in? It's just going to be more DeAndre Jordan moments, or we trade and get Rondo or Lamar Odom type attitudes. I don't think he's wrong. I do think the free agents that we do get may not be the best picks or the best selections for us, but it's the best that we can do. I really do think that we have hurt our free agency destiny or destination.
Well, but so here's the thing. So, and I know everybody's talking about Clay, for example. Mm-hmm. And people say, oh, Clay came here to play with Luka, but Luka wasn't part of his recruiting. That was Kyrie.
Nico, yeah.
And Kyrie is respected amongst the league.
Yeah.
Players love him. That's one of the reasons why Mark was like, yeah, go ahead and get him. Because everyone he talked to loved him. So I don't know. I don't think it's as big of a problem. I think people blow up all this stuff because Luka, and I'm not saying it's because but I don't think Luka was loved just for the same reason that Dirk wasn't loved. Like players do feel some type of way about the Europeans still,
Yeah.
I do believe that, and I think people look at Kyrie like he's one of us. He's like in that Kobe, tree of players and stuff. And so everybody loves him. And I think that people would come play with him. I think people like AD, but, I don't know. I'd have to look more as far as what players think of him. Besides, I don't think it's nearly as doom and gloom as everybody wants it to be. Because like I said, you don't listen to everybody because people tell you that everybody hates it here. They say if you listen to people right now, they tell you all the Mavericks players want to leave.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot too. But really quick, Brian Powell in the chat had a really good comment saying, let's be honest, we already have our stars unless Kai opts out. So players still might want to play with Kai and AD. So to your point, yeah. We still have the draw. It's not the same, but we still do have a draw with AD and Kyrie. So.
And like I tell people too, I mean, and I know AD said this, but people act like AD's a bum, and that's the same thing that Spencer was saying. He's like, the dude is a 10-time All-Star.
Yep.
I think Dirk had 14. AD's got 10, and AD's also a Defensive Player of the Year before. He's won a championship.
Yep.
So they're not like it's not like we're putting out a bunch of bums. I really do also believe, and people also argue me with this. They say we need to make AD move to the 5. I saw that in Discord the last couple of days. I'm like, no, because AD had his most success when he played the 4. If you look at when he was paired with Boogie in New Orleans, or even when he won a championship, he had a strong 5 next to him, and that's what it takes the burden of having to put all that load on him off of him. And like I said, I think he's one that will get injured because he takes on too much. But if you can just let him roam on defense and be like a help defender instead of having to be the guy that everybody gets funneled to, then I think that's when he can shine. And especially at his age now, I think that's our best bet is to do that for him. But like I said, people were like, oh, no, like don't make him a 5. Don't trade all our bigs. I still would love to bring back Kai Jones.
Yeah, I would too.
because
I think we have the right amount of bigs. We're good.
yeah. Except we need to get rid of Powell.
Man, look.
He does not serve a purpose.
Look, he's on this team because he's got dirt on somebody. Somebody was at them Diddy
He's got-
parties.
He's got pictures of Cuban. I know he's got pictures of Cuban somewhere.
yeah.
But
My
he
man's
can
blackmailing
go.
everybody. Nah, me and my
But
friends
that's
were like,
the
you know
thing,
what? I think Dwight Powell is actually secretly pulling the strings. He traded Luka. It was really Dwight Powell.
Well, I mean, never know. I mean, like I said, we heard that LeBron had no idea that the trade was going down, but then also we heard that Marcus Morris said that LeBron requested Marquise be included in the trade. So I'm like,
Hey, they try to, when Marquise said that, they try to backpedal like, no, that's not what he meant. I don't know. Did you see AD flip off LeBron?
and didn't hug him after
And didn't
the
hug
game.
him after. Hugged
Hey,
everybody but him.
He hugged Luka longer than
Hugged Luka.
He-
Bro, I don't know when or if we would ever find out, but I'm pretty sure if AD believes that LeBron knows, if AD believes that LeBron had something to do with this, then I believe that LeBron had something to do with this.
Well, they told on him. They told on LeBron. Marcus Morris told on him.
Yeah.
They said LeBron requested Marquise be included in the trade. I'm like, well, how did you not know that the trade was going down
Yeah.
if he's also saying that you were? Yeah, I'm like, so I don't believe that. I think he's lying. That's all that snake stuff that I lose respect for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
But
especially since LeBron, you're the one that got Anthony Davis to come over there from New Orleans. Like
New Orleans,
you pretty much
yeah.
pushed that trade through. Kind of messed up.
but once again, it's the lack of accountability. Whenever something's not working out for him, he's like, oh, well, let me get this guy out of here.
It happens all the time.
But-
I mean, when he got to LA the first time, when LeBron got there, he was there to miss the playoffs. All the young players were gone next year.
Mm-hmm. And then remember, he put that team together, all 36-year-old guys. And I'm like, what
Yup.
are you doing? I'm like, that team's not going to win anything. And when they didn't win anything, we're like, what did you think was going to happen when you put together the 2005 All-Star team? You know what I mean?
Bro, that was such a retirement team, bro. That was a retirement team.
I mean, it was
Absolutely
Carmelo Anthony. I mean, that team would have been great 10 years ago, but
Wild.
what are you doing?
Wild. But yeah, I think RJ would be a nice piece. I don't think it would cost us too much, and I think it could happen if that's the scoring, because we need another scorer, obviously. And I know we got PJ, Gafford, Najee, we got Max Christie, but it's like, I want someone that is a 20-point per game scorer already, not someone that
So
we're
here's the
trying to
question.
make a 20-point per game scorer.
People also keep telling me that the reason PJ is struggling is because PJ is a 4 out of 3. I'm like, PJ is a 3-4. I think he can
he's a
play either
3-4.
position. But they're like, oh, he's playing out of position and he can't play next to AD. I'm like, I don't think that's true.
If anything, his job should be easier next to AD.
That's what I said. I think well, we can't look at it. We can't keep going. But like I said, PJ was producing. And I think if everybody's healthy, then they'll all be fine. Like I said,
Yeah.
fully healthy, and with the addition of Kai Jones, we have the deepest, best two-way front court in the NBA.
Yes. Just stop
And, like-
having PJ bring the ball down, please.
Yes, because that dude dribbles off his legs more than anybody I've seen. You know,
I don't get it. It's almost as if I bet during his rookie the little combine where they're doing just a little, with you're trying out for different teams, whatever. I'm sure they saw that. Like, yeah, we're gonna act like we didn't see that. Just don't let him bring the ball down. He's not a point guard. Because how are you this far in your career and your handles are that broken? What?
it makes no sense. But why are we okay? Why are we not letting Najee bring the ball up, or anybody else besides him? Like, if Najee should bring the ball up. If Najee's on the court, PJ should never have the ball in his hand until we're passing the ball to him to shoot.
Exactly. Makes no sense.
Even Exum, any of those guys could bring the ball up. And I don't know, we'll fix it next year, I'm sure. But like I said, going into next year with a new point, let's say we pray we get Jeremiah Fears or something. I think that one of those guys can be the other ball handler, because even all those guys that we keep in mind have been playing out of position. Spence has been playing. Spence should be the secondary or tertiary ball handler. He should not be the primary ball handler. He's not a shot creator for other people by nature.
Right.
He should be a spot-up shooter, and if he's just a spot-up shooter, he's great. or he can drive into the rim and get contact, and he's got the best whistle in the history of the Mavericks. If he can do those two things, he's great. If he tries to do anything else, he's terrible. And that's the same thing that Kid keeps forcing players to play out of position. He did that with Dwight Powell. Dwight Powell is much more effective as a 4 than a 5.
He is a power forward.
Yes, he's too weak to be a 5, and he gets beat constantly.
Every time.
Hit in the face, hit in the head. And the most frustrating volleyball slap out to half court thing that he does.
Yeah, it's
just
like,
put him next to a real center. Yes, put him next to a real center, and he'll be okay. He actually does great. He actually plays good defense against power forwards. He can hustle and all that, but it's like as long as we play everybody in their role, we're great. So once everybody's healthy, I think we will be an amazing team, and we'll put up ridiculous numbers. I think really and truly, I think we need to move around the fringes. Honestly, I mean, I don't think we need to go do major overhauls. I think, like I said, if we let Clay, not Clay. I mean, we can leave her. If Clay wants to leave, we can let Clay leave. I don't know if he wants to leave, but Spencer, I think, should be gone.
Yeah.
By this year, I think that should be a major move. I think if Spencer's gone, I would say try and re-sign Kessler Edwards, Kai Jones, and our rookie. So whatever we have to do to make that space work. And then give and was it Andrew Agenza? Give Agenza a 2-way contract next year, and sign Gortman to a 2-way contract next year because he's eligible.
Yep.
And then get another big for a 2-way contract or a 4, something like that. If we can make those moves, where like I said, because once again, if something happens with our point guards until Kyrie comes back. Having Gortman on a 2-way because he's made progress toward the end of the year on the G League, that gives us 50 games of Gortman where he can come in and help out.
Yeah.
Where if Brandon's suffering or if we need him for his defense or whatever we have that option. Well, let's say if we do keep Exum gets hurt, then you got somebody that can come in and help you play, and you're not giving up a ton.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do, and that's how we need to use the G League team too. That to augment the team for the things that the team needs help in. Like I said, if we can, I really do think we need to have Kessler Edwards on the team. I don't think we need to trade Omax, or I think because I liked what I saw out of Kessler Edwards and Omax. I love that defense and the hustle that those two had together. Yeah. And both of them being 6'8", I mean, like I said, it gives us a lot of flexibility, and both of them can shoot threes, both of them can rebound, both of them are diving after loose balls. That's what you need on the team. That is what you need on the championship team. You know what I mean? You need those garbage guys that can just lock down on people.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Those are the moves that you make in lieu of trying to go after certain free agents because it's going to be difficult. So honestly, it's a lot better to keep things in-house with a team like the Mavericks because the number one thing that we need to worry about is chemistry. Do the players know each other? How well do they know each other? So keeping players, retaining players is a smarter move than just constantly going for trades, constantly trying to just keep buffing the team. But I do still think we need another 20 or more point per game scorer. And I just put up a list of the league leaders points per game. And who is it? RJ Barrett is at 27. And the players above him, Jamal Murray, I don't think we can get him. Jalen Williams, we can't. Norman Powell, pretty sure we can't. Jaren Jackson Jr., no. Jaylen Brown, no. DeMar DeRozan, you're 35, same as James Harden. Then it's Zach LaVine, De'Aaron Fox, Tyler Hero, Donovan Mitchell. And I'm going up, by the way, so these are increasing in points per game. Donovan Mitchell, Franz Wagner, Trae Young, LeBron James, Karl Anthony Towns, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Kevin Durant, Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Jokic, Giannis, SGA. Out of that, RJ Barrett looks like the only player we could trade for.
All right, I got it. Okay, and I mentioned his name before, but what if we did this? And I have to look. I think Houston does have cap space next year, right?
Yes, they do.
I think so. What if we? Okay, how about this? See if this floats your boat.
All right.
What if we were to trade Hardy and Martin for Cam Whitmore?
I'm with it.
I'm not saying he's a 20-point-a-game player.
No, but that actually helps out a lot. You're gonna get more scoring and more defense.
Yep. And he's a 6'7".
6'7", small forward. Yeah.
And so like I said, we're giving them playoff defensive experience and a flamethrower in Hardy. But that gives us, like you said, a big defensive wing
Yeah.
who could probably, like I said, he scored 27 points in a game this year.
Yeah.
And he's done it a couple of times. But they, like I said, for whatever reason they don't want to tell him, like, yeah, if you want to dump him, we'll take him if we could do that.
Yeah, he's averaging 35% from three, so that's not bad either. I mean, especially if they're going to make a move for Kevin Durant, Jaden Hardy and Martin are on some pretty team-friendly deals. So,
I mean, to me, like I said, that would be a good way for us to improve the team. Like I said, making moves on the fringes, and it also saves us money because he's still on his rookie contract. If we can trade them into cap space to free up a little bit more cap space, and like I said, and that also frees up a spot on the roster. So let's say if Dinwiddie's gone, that guy's gone, Dinwiddie's gone, and then those two are gone, then now we can put in a few different players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gives us that flexibility to be like, hey, we can go sign Kessler Edwards to a full contract. We can sign Kai Jones to a full contract, and then we can put a Jensen. And like I said, so that way you're keeping your team loaded for the future and very competitive with high-level players. Because, dude, I mean, think about it. If our second unit is, if it's the rookie once Kyrie comes back, if it's the rookie at the point guard, Cam Whitmore at the 2, Kessler Edwards at the 3, Omax at the 4, and Lively at the 5, that's a problem. You know what I mean?
that's a pretty good bench.
That's a good bench. And it's a young, athletic bench.
Yeah, they're going to run. They have the energy for it. Yeah. Yeah, I think getting not only obviously in the draft, but also getting another young player, I think could be a good addition to this team. Because if you're not going to have draft capital for 2 years straight, you may as well have good young players. I know we have this year's first round pick and next year's, so I think this upcoming season and the following season are very important as far as the moves that we make to make sure that the 2 years that we don't have a first round draft pick, we're not hurting for it. Like how Phoenix was hurting for first round draft picks.
Didn't we get the Lakers 2027 or was that the 2029?
We got 2029.
Oh, we could have got 2027, but they didn't get that.
Somehow we only got one first round draft pick for Luka.
That's the thing, because they said that he talked him out of it. They said, he talked him out of
You
the
should be
first round pick.
fired. Someone talked you out of that, you need to be fired. Like, you suck at your job, bro. Like, you suck.
You said Luka's fat and drinks too much.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Rob
Pelinka
Pelinka was like, man, you killed his own value. You told me you don't want him. Why do I want him? I'll give you one first round draft pick. What if I want to trade him back? Like, such a horrible negotiator. Like, I know Trump got that book called Art of the Deal. Yeah, Nico, you may want to read that, bro. Like that's horrible. Like, oh my days. That shows you just how little he valued Luka.
That's what frustrates me more than anything about the trade. And that's what even Mark finally said it, because I've been saying since the trade. If you decided, hey man, he's not the guy, which we can agree or disagree, I still think that you should have got everything.
Mm-hmm.
You should have taken everything they have so that they couldn't make it. Because when they made the move to go get Mark Williams, I was pissed. I'm like, no, they should not have the ability to go make another move because you got the best player in the trade, you got the best player in the league out of the deal.
Yeah.
So we should take all your assets in exchange for that. We should have had Dalton Connect, and we should have had that other pick. And then I've been like, okay, I don't like it, but at least we took everything they got. We got Christie, we got Dalton, we got 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
We got 2 young good players, a 10-time All-Star, and that would be a fair trade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People are mad that he's gone, but hey, we got something better than nothing. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the guys here, but it did feel like we got nothing. And I'm still very high on Max Christie. I know a lot of people have kind of checked out. I know that they called it a fluke that he was doing well when we first got him. But me and you both know it's because of Kyrie. Kyrie made Max Christie look very good. And so when Kyrie's back, or we have just a decent guard, Max Christie can be great off the bench. I know he can be. Like, I've seen it. Like, that was a big enough sample size for me to believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he's
game.
just a younger Clay because he plays good defense too.
He didn't score less than 15 points for 8 straight games because let's say he was playing next to Kyrie.
Yep. And I mean,
so
he's young.
We know. He's 21, 22?
Yeah, I think he's like 20. I think he just turned 22, so he's going to get better.
Yeah. And the other thing we need to talk about, Lively has got to put on some weight, man.
He got to hit the weight.
He got to hit the weight
because
he's tall enough, and that's what we talk about the training staff, but he needs to gain about 20 more pounds of muscle and especially work on those legs because he's got the spring and the bounce, but he needs that strength so that he can't get pushed off.
Yeah, he definitely needs to bulk up, and I think Gafford lost some weight when he was injured. I think
He
may
did
have lost
when
some
he got
muscle
injured, yeah.
mass, and I think he's at the perfect form right now for where he needs to be. But I've said it before. I think Gafford is an essential member of this team because he will never be expensive. When it's time to pay Gafford, you're not going to be in a bidding war where am I about to pay Gafford $20 million a year? No. And it's no disrespect to Gafford. I know you watch these streams and my videos. I know you're going to be on the channel over the summer. I hope you get the bag. But what I mean is he will never become too expensive for us to retain. And that's the beauty of Daniel Gafford. I truly believe that he will always outperform his contract.
Well, but once again, like I keep seeing from the fans that, oh, we got Kai, we can trade Gafford now. Or, oh, Lively's here and we got AD, we don't need Gafford. I'm like, people don't remember how different the team was the first half of last year versus the last half of last year. When PJ and Gafford came, that changed. We went from the number 20th defense to the number 1 defense the last half of the year.
Yep.
People don't understand, and they're like, get rid of those guys. I'm like, no. It's like you don't trade the guys that took you to the finals. Mm-mm. Yeah, Luka was there and Kyrie was there, but
they had help.
It was the play of those two dudes that changed the team fundamentally.
Yes, we went from a team that just shot the ball to just playing with so much grit.
Yes. Because we had two big dogs that we could throw out there, and now we've got more.
Yeah.
You got Najee. And it's like, and you got Kai Jones. I'm like, keep those guys. You keep accumulating those guys. That's how you get people to stop talking about the trade. That's how you get people to move on. You get dogs and people. You get guys that people can love and to go out there and win.
Yeah, yeah, and
people love Najee. People love PJ. PJ's from here.
He's from
Why would you let him walk?
And I think it's really weird how fans have kind of turned on him and acted like he's not like as important. Like, because I've seen people say how, oh, I've been a Mavericks fan my whole life. You just got here. Well, first of all, he grew up a Mavericks fan. He used to go to the games with his dad. Mm-hmm. Like, he wanted to be a Maverick. So, like, he's been a fan almost as long as a lot of us have. He's just now getting here to play here. So don't act like PJ's just some stranger, right? So the weird switch up that fans have on PJ is very weird because what he said should not be the reason why you turn on him. If you're going to turn on him for that, no, you're dead wrong. You're dead wrong.
But he was also right because the thing is, when you're shouting fire, Nico, why are you shouting when we're shooting free throws? First of all, you know what I'm saying? If you want to shout when the other team, but you don't shout when your guys are shooting free. It should be dead quiet in an arena.
Yeah.
So that I don't understand. But the other thing too, like I was telling somebody earlier on the Bobby Marks podcast thing that he was talking about the match. He said he was talking about PJ's extension, and he said that he thinks that PJ is eligible for 4 years, $87 million. And people are like, oh, that's too much. I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
I'm like, we said as long as he makes less than $25 million. Nope, I don't want to pay it. I want to pay him. I'm like, why? Why would you risk letting him walk? Well, he can walk then. I'm like, who do you get to replace him? I'm like,
that's just, and they were like, no, you pay PJ. If it's 4 year, 80 mil, cool. Here you go. Boom, 86, whatever, how much it is. Here you go. Yeah, cool. Yes. Take that. Because again, I've said many times, he is very similar to a OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby's making $200 million. I'm not paying that to PJ.
But yes, and I'm saying, and if he's not asking, if you give him 25 or 22 million a year, and you're like, oh man, we're getting ripped off. I'm like, what are we talking about? Same thing with Gafford. If Gafford makes 20 million a year, I'm not mad. You know what I'm saying? Because Gafford is half the time he's our starting center, and we act like one can see him. When you asked him like what are the highlights? When I saw Gafford put up 30 points, 16 boards, and like 5 blocks, I'm like, that is a dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that is someone we can build with. When fully healthy, if he's got that game in him, think about him and AD next to each other.
Man, and hold on, let's not forget when we first got Gafford, he was rivaling Wilt Chamberlain's like stats and records.
Yeah, he had 78 straight makes. He had 78 straight
he
makes.
was about
in
to
a
break
row.
Wilt Chamberlain records. And yes, we can say because he had Luka. We get that. But still, he alone has that in him. Yeah, I'm keeping you. Like there are a few players, and I'm not gonna say a few like there's not a lot. A lot of these guys have a lot of value. But some of those players that you really don't want to lose because they're so complementary to what you have going on are Najee Marshall, because he's had his own transformation all year where he is exactly what his nickname is. He is the knife. He's a Swiss Army knife. He is just that good. You can just plug and play, and it works out. You also have PJ, who is a dog. He's a great wing defender. When he's on one, his offense is great as well. He's also a great rebounder, which we desperately need. And then you got Gafford, who just does the dirty work. He is a dog. He will be down low. He's only 6'10". He's not 7 feet tall, but he will play better than other 7-footers, and I've seen it happen time and time again. Mark Williams on the Hornets is owned by Daniel Gafford. It's actually embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those three I think are some of our most key essential role players. Najee, PJ, and Gafford. Those three are so important to the core of this team that I don't want either of them gone. I'd much rather trade Clay if I had to pick somebody.
And I don't even want to disrespect Clay, but I'm like, yeah, I would trade Clay before I traded those guys. And like I said, I don't get this weird disrespect and the dismissal of the importance of these guys to the team, because these are the guys that transform the team. Everybody else was already here.
Yeah, exactly.
When we made those moves, we went on a monumental run once kids started playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but like I said, our fan base is weird.
Yeah.
They seem to not understand basketball sometimes. It's like, and I've had people, and even in your Discord, be like, we can't get rid of Dwight Powell. He's the first one to clap off the bench. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Hey man, Dwight Powell's gonna get a statue, bro. He's gonna get his jersey retired. You keep a Dwight Powell.
I'm like, let him do that with a polo on, just like Jason Kidd, one of the pullover zip ups. Then yeah, let him be on the bench doing it. I said, I heard we got opening because Daryl Armstrong probably ain't coming back. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put him right there behind the bench.
Yeah.
But we don't need him on the bench. If it's Dwight Powell or Kai Jones, I want Kai Jones all day.
Yeah.
Put that dude on this court.
Honestly, I feel like we
could
have used Kai Jones. Honestly, we should play. I mean, I know never mind. Before I speak out of turn, I understand we could not play Kai Jones in the play-in tournament because he's not on an actual contract. However, I would have much rather wanted to see Kai Jones out there than Derrick Lively, knowing Derrick Lively is still on a minutes restriction.
Once again, yeah. And I know we needed Brandon, but that's why, like, and even we needed Exum. That's the problem because we were so shorthanded.
Yeah.
If everybody was healthy, we'd have been great. And even Omax, like I said, I think the only people we're missing with Omax and Kyrie. But once again, Kyrie is 25, 5, and 5 any given night. So that makes a huge difference in what this team has. And like I said, with our two centers on minutes restrictions, and that's why we need a third center.
Yes.
That's not Dwight Powell. We need a guy that can step in and give you 20 and 10, backing up those guys.
And that's the thing.
Because they will
Kai
get hurt.
Jones will also come in with that same energy. It's like, all right, Kai Jones, you're in. He's like, oh, I need time to warm up. No, Kai Jones is off rip at a certain level of energy and just attack that you can just throw him in any point in the game.
And when he took that three, I lost it, man.
Man, and he had so much confidence in that three. I was like, go right ahead, bro. You got it.
With that janky shot he has with the hitch in it, but it works. So hey,
form, bro. Like when he drives and pulls up the mid range, it goes in, but like he like hangs in the air. His legs are cocked a certain ways. The most ugly form. Him and Caleb Martin got ugly jumpers, but the difference is Caleb Martin misses and Kai Jones makes them. But yeah, no, I think Kai Jones is definitely essential for depth. And if you can get rid of Dwight Powell and just have Kai Jones take that spot, cool. You have an actual serviceable player and someone you could also keep for cheap. And I would rather keep Kai Jones versus let another team pick him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, if we could just get Kai Jones, like I said, if we can keep Kessler Edwards, because we saw what those guys can be.
Yes.
They are actual NBA players. So if we can keep those two guys, we're okay. Along with the rookie, and like I said, bring Melvin Aginsa, because I watched Melvin Aginsa, and he looks like he's a player.
Melvin looks really good, and I'll have to make a video on him, and I want to get a good sample size. I'm not sure if he's still playing or if his season's over, but I saw not too long ago he had a really solid game.
Yeah, I think his season over there is over right now.
Yeah.
So, and the reason we couldn't sign this year because he was on a $3 million. No, he was on a $3 million contract or something.
Yeah.
But we could only offer $1 million to buy him out, and we'd have to do the rest would have to be on his regular contract. We just didn't have enough money to give to buy him out.
Yeah. And,
so I'm like,
yeah. But yeah, we've got some key role players, like I said, Najee, PJ, Gafford. We've got good starters in, AD, Kyrie, Clay, I guess. Clay is still good in my book. Clay's still good. I'm glad that he's here. I ain't going front. I'm glad Clay's here. But Kai Jones definitely, I think, needs to come back and then somehow bring back Melvin since he's been playing overseas. I think the Mavs, I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. It just feels bad and it hurts. But we're not the worst team in the league. We're not, we're not the biggest poverty team as far as like the Suns are poverty. Like, we're not that bad. It just, we did have a fall from grace. And it was a big fall, a big drop, and it hurts. But it's how you get back up and keep going. And these players know that, and they want to get back there.
Well, dude, if Kyrie played yesterday, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
We would be like, "You ready?"
We'd be talking about the game Sunday. Yes, and actually, I don't think we'd even be, if Kyrie would have stayed healthy, we would not be in the play-in. I don't think.
Sixth seed, I can see it. Because we were, I think, maybe 7th or 8th when Kyrie got hurt. I think we were like still right up in there.
Yeah, and so if Kyrie would have stayed healthy, and then with AD coming back, and he could have come back in more limited fashion, then we could have seen a little bit of that working together, and I think we'd have been fine. It's just, like I said, it is what it is. Next year, everybody should be back healthy. I see the teams getting closer to my. But I also don't want them to rush him back either. I want Kyrie to be healthy. That's why I said we got to replace his production.
Yeah.
I did at least like the fact that Nico said that he didn't want to try and replace Kyrie's production with one guy.
No,
yeah.
You want to get a few people. That's why I think Cam Whitmore works.
I'm trying to if they've got cap space, because if they do, if we got like a Caleb and
Hardy.
For Cam Whitmore, man, yeah. I would not even worry about getting draft pick back. I just like here's a 2.
If we can't get if we can't get Cam Whitmore, give me Corey Kispert from Washington, bro. Give me that sniper.
Oh, see, look at this. Let's see what they're 4 below the first apron.
There we go. We got 2 guys on team-friendly contracts. Take them.
So,
Oh, you cutting up. You lagging bad.
Huh?
Oh, there you are. You were lagging for a little bit.
My screen cut off on the phone, so that messes up when you let the screen cut off. Yeah, you may not be able to trade both of them. You may, if you could only trade one, would you trade Caleb or would you trade Hardy?
Hardy. You already know I'm trading Hardy. It's not personal, Jaden. It's not personal, Jaden. It's just gotta think about the team. You're a great guy.
Work. If you just do Hardy for Whitmore straight up, it does work.
I'd do it 1-for-1 switch.
I tell you, they feel the same. All the stuff I've been reading, they said that they feel that he's not. Dude, 6'7". Oh man, that'd be amazing to get him on the team, and then we can just try and trade. I mean, like I said, if you want to, you could do your other trade. Because how much is So we'd have to figure out something to trade to get what's the name? If you want to get RJ Barrett, but I mean I don't know if we still need RJ Barrett if you get Cam Whitmore.
I
know they're not the same person.
So. No, I don't think so. Because to get RJ Barrett, that's $27 million. It would probably be I think it's Hardy, Clay, and like picks.
Hardy,
Clay, and Omax.
No, it wasn't. It was Clay, Omax, and it was Clay, Clay, Martin, and Omax. Yes,
Clay, Caleb, Omax. Yeah. So hold on. If, and I'm saying if, let's just say it works. We send Clay, Hardy, Omax to Toronto for RJ and whatever picks required, and then we also trade Jaden Hardy for Cam Whitmore 1-for-1. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with
You
that.
think so?
I would be happy with it, but I doubt it goes through. I doubt it happens, but I'd be cool with it. Because then you can also, because you're giving up, what, 4 players getting back 2, so you have 2 open roster spots. All right, cool. Kai Jones, here's your contract. Kessler Edwards, here's your contract. Boom.
And you're also looking at cost savings too, though.
Yeah, and they're going to be on cheap deals anyway, so boom.
So like I said, I'm not mad at it. That would be the kind of stuff I'd want to do. I don't think, get everybody. But like I said, if Clay don't want to go, I wouldn't force Clay out necessarily.
No. Unless
Because
if he doesn't say he wants to go, I'm not getting rid of him. I feel like just
because
let him finish his career here.
Yeah, it'd be disrespectful. Like if we sent him to like Washington or something, that would be disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be messed up. Totally messed up if we sent him to Washington. Oh, disgusting.
So like I said, we gotta be. We don't want to piss everybody off.
I know Seth Curry hates us. Got traded 3 times?
Yeah, he's been here 3 times. Wait, he's been here 3 times.
I know that
he's got a house here.
I know he hates it. I know he hates Dallas. But anyway, Big J, it's almost 11, and I'm yawning. But this was a really good live stream. Appreciate you coming on. We're probably gonna do more of these in the summer. Thank you everybody that came out. We're definitely gonna do more of these over the summer, where we just kind of have an open forum and just talk. I know not a lot of people came on, but it's always an open stage, open door. Just come on and talk. We're gonna keep it obviously relevant to the team, trades, rumors, free agency, draft, all that type of stuff. But yeah, Big J, appreciate you stopping by. Any last words before we end this call?
Hey man, look, I just say we need to keep our heads up, and we can't trust Nico, but we'll trust that the team will do what we need to do, and we trust the players and support our guys. Let's not hate on our team anymore. Let's uplift the fellas. Let them know that we appreciate them being here.
Yeah, I know how it feels as a fan. Imagine being the players on that team, hearing that every day. Like put yourself in their shoes and realize they're still showing up every day trying their best. So, yeah, no, I echo those sentiments. But y'all take care. Y'all drink water, all that good stuff. I will see you guys in the next one. We still got some videos coming out in the upcoming days. But there may be a little break before I really come back. I think I'm enjoying my summer for a little bit. My off season starts today as well. So, y'all take care. Until next time, peace.
Mavericks, we rise, no fear in our eyes. Step onto the court, we cutting ties. Mavericks Digest, bring the heat on the beat. Dallas pride flows from head to feet.
You should subscribe to Mavericks Digest and drink water.